Okay. Hello. Up late. I mean, this is not late. It is 12:30 a.m. for me. That's not late. But I guess it's late enough for it to be late night crew. What it do? What do? What do? What do? What do? What's wrong, Zeke? What happened, Zeke? What's the problem? Howdy, friend. Hello to everybody. Comrades in arms. How are we doing? Thinking I should play a game? Hey, I assume you're an adult, so you can do whatever the fuck you want, man. Free. You're free to choose. Isn't that great? What thine doeth, Master Paul? Well, I am going to smoke a joint. That's the plan. I'm gonna do a J, as we used to say. Hopefully you don't mind if I do a J. If you do, it sucks to be you. I'm doing it anyway. Watching The Sopranos because of you. Thanks. Cool. Looking forward to this week's episode of Why Lesser of Two Evils Voting is Cringe. Not complaining, by the way. I don't know. I mean, you know, these shows are heavily dependent on where you guys decide to lead them. So if it goes down that road, it goes down that road. I don't find it objectionable to talk about. I know people get tired of hearing the same old thing. I get it. But I don't know. I have not tired of making the argument. It's okay to get political. Political. Oh. Oh my. Things are about to get political. I don't know. I don't know if things are gonna. What's the strain? It's Blue Cookies, I think is the name of it. Let me see. Yeah, Blue Cookies. Which I'm assuming is Blue Dream crossed with Girl Scout cookies. Two kind of like foundational strains. We can talk on Discord if you'd like. I don't know, Nikki. I mean, what are we going to fucking talk about? What are we going to argue about? And then I don't even really have a fucking Discord server set up. What I need to do, I have a Discord server. What I need to do is just go in, set it up to where that all people can do is join the voice chat. And even then, it's locked when I'm not using it. So I don't want any drama. Like I don't want to have to have mods, really. I don't want anybody posting anything. I don't want any pictures. Just literally to use as like a call-in room or whatever. I think would be cool. Yeah, I mean, I do not. I will never catch myself in the unenviable position of moderating a social media community ever again. It is one of the most fucking absurdly stupid jobs ever, especially if you're moderating a community that is centered in some way around you. Hell fucking no, dude. No. Just use TJ's server. Yeah, but then like other people are going to they're going to see us in there and they're going to come stumbling in. And who knows what kind of degenerate nonsense is going to go on. But yeah, I mean, it's super fucking high school level childish in most online communities. But Discord seems to be the worst. Discord seems to breed the worst kind of fucking cancer that the internet has to offer. at least in my experience. It's kind of sad, because I always thought it was really cool to try and like interact with the people that watch you, and I used to do it quite a bit. Not even joking. Back on the DFF Discord when there was such a thing, I was pretty fucking. I was there, a few days a week, chilling. But man, it got to the point where like every time I showed up, people would show up and they didn't want to chill. They wanted to complain to me about some fucking drama that happened or catch me up on some drama. And I could tell, they were just all so into it. And I was just like, well, I'm out of here. I'm fucking done. Maybe that's how it got the name Discord. I know. It's definitely a well chosen name. Yeah. It was just bickering and power moves and fucking red weddings and you know what I mean? It was literal Game of Thrones. But instead of like big giant warriors and the head of noble families leading armies and doing political machinations behind the scenes, it was a bunch of fucking pimply nerds playing, anime games and jerking off to fucking deviant porn. Like it was pretty cringe. Pretty fucking cringe. What are you gonna do? I shall sit upon the Cheeto stained throne. Oh my god, yeah. Yeah. The Cheeto throne. Just glued together with a bunch of Cheetos. A bunch of Cheetos glued together with Cheese Whiz. It's the Cheeto throne. Instead of the swords, Just constructed entirely out of Cheetos. I've beaten Cyberpunk twice. Yeah. And I had another one going, but I decided to wait. The only thing I haven't done in Cyberpunk is done like a playthrough that's nothing but just like punching or hitting people with big sticks. So I've done like a kind of like stealthy route, sniper slash, well, not sniper, but like stealthy pistols and katanas was my first playthrough. And then my second playthrough was stealthy uh hacker or whatever they call it. And I can't remember now. Whatever they call hackers in in Cyberpunk, where I just did all the like, that one was you get that is so OP by the way in the game. Maybe they've changed it with the update and everything. But dude, about like, I don't know, a quarter of the way through the game, if you build your character right, you're pretty much unstoppable. Like it gets kind of absurd. Like, cause you get like the ability to upload these little fucking hacks to people that in some cases will outright kill them, and then you get the ability to like have those hacks spread. So you see a group of enemies, standing around guarding a place or whatever, you upload the fucking file to one of them, they die, and then all three of the other dudes that were standing with them die, and nobody even knew you were in the vicinity. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. It's absolutely like you're a god. I don't even know how the game would be hard. You played on like maximum difficulty, which I did. Um, I think I played whatever it is on very hard or whatever the top difficulty is because I just wanted to fucking see if it. And dude, it was absurd. It felt like I was playing on normal. The quick hacks make you untouchable after a certain point if you play. Yeah, I mean, if you just bit like I decided like I'm really gonna build 4 quick hacks. I'm not gonna care about weapons. Like I'll have like a little side piece or something if I've got to, but like 99% of my upgrades and shit went towards hacking, buying the best like little hacker slip suit or whatever the fuck it is, buying the top level programs, buying the better deck, or buying the better interface or whatever the fuck it was. You know what I mean? Like I had the whole like it's all I did with all my money and all my upgrade points and level ups and shit was. And I swear by about a quarter of the way, maybe a little more than a quarter of the way through the game, I couldn't be touched. I could take out a whole squad of like police officers, the special agent quick hacker guys that would, I can't remember what they're called, the dudes that are like the internet police. Nothing could touch me, which is kind of absurd, but it tends to be that way in these types of games. I would look at quick hackers like mages, and oftentimes, especially in like older RPGs, mages were kind of weak at the beginning, but super fucking OP if you just focused them. And it's kind of the same way. So the only thing I haven't done in it is just to make a big lunk head of a fucking brute, just a dude with big gorilla arms carrying a big wood fucking plank or a pipe or something. You know what I mean? Like beat my way through the game. I guess I really don't know what else to do. I guess I could do like the sniper route, but it just feels so similar to the pistol. It's like the pistol becomes a sniper rifle, basically. At the very least, like a precision rifle. I don't know if it can, maybe it doesn't have the range of an actual sniper rifle, but when I played it, that pistol, I could fucking knock somebody down from like half a mile away. You know what I mean? With a headshot or two. It was pretty much done. Yeah, I feel like the game, like maybe I'm just good at those types of games. I have admittedly played a lot of open world level based kind of RPGs like it. So maybe I'm better at those types of games, but that was one of the critiques that I still have of Cyberpunk is that it's fun, but I don't think it's very challenging. Unless I'm just good at picking out the most OP shit. My first playthrough, the pistol katana playthrough was a corpo. My hacker playthrough was a street kid. So my brute playthrough is going to be outsider or whatever, outlander. As I really, and then I've done it all. At that point, I'll feel like, yeah, I pretty much did it all. Danish thrash metal, huh? Man, what is wrong with those Danes? What is wrong with those fucking Scandinavian people, man? They're all so angry. Haven't played it yet, but I love being a dirty sneak thief assassin. Oh, me too. Any game that lets me be, and it's usually so fucking overpowered too. Any game that lets you do stealthy shit and gives you like sneak attack bonuses and stuff, you can just dominate it. And I love it. I love that style of, I like the stealthy kind of gameplay more than I like the, blow everything up around you kind of gameplay. Danes play good metal. I didn't say they didn't. I just asked why they're so mad. Like they got it good over there. Why are they so angry over there? Johnny Silverhands is a poser. What do you mean he's a poser? Did he die trying to blow up a fucking big corpo building or whatever? Like that's not a poser's death. I love stealth in Deus Ex. Yeah, stealth in Deus Ex, stealth in the Elder Scrolls franchise, always. Stealth archer, dagger wielder. That's my first character in every Elder Scrolls, and my favorite. I don't. I end up not really liking my other playthroughs in Elder Scrolls games, honestly. Stealth archer with daggers for up close work. Dump all my stat points and level ups into that. Dishonored, yeah, played that. Played the first one at least. I haven't played Dishonored 2, but I beat the first one with and got I had it on PS4, I think. Yeah. And I got the ghost achievement or whatever on my PS4 in that game for not like ever getting seen or killing one person. So yeah. Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's the type I have the most fun with. I don't think I'm alone either. I think it's a really popular play type. It's just a fun way to do it. It lets you feel more powerful, even if you're not technically. Like, because you get to dictate the terms of the fight. You know what I mean? Whereas if you're playing a big barbarian motherfucker, yeah, you can charge in there. But these other people are going to have a chance to react to you and set up and run away and go to their little hidey positions and shit and fling spells at you from behind stuff. It's like if you get into a room and nobody knows you're in the room, you just pick everybody off one by one silently. That's the way to do it. Like why even let them know you were there? Problem is if you get too good of an archer in Skyrim, there's a slow-mo for every shot and you often miss because of it. No. Yeah. I don't remember that being an issue, but it's been a long time since I played through Skyrim. But I was built pretty heavily into daggers. Like, I don't mind not having the archer component, but daggers are a must. The other archetype that I like to play with, but not a lot of games give you the option, is kind of like a monk type character that's unarmed but has like martial arts and shit. But I feel like a lot of games don't really let you play that kind of archetype. I guess you can, but it kind of sucks in a lot of them. Like, I remember I did a Morrowind playthrough where I did unarmed, and dude, that was so painful. But once I got to a certain level, like I stuck with it and I built like a monk. I think I gave myself like restoration magic and unarmed and light armor, just basically like the type of stuff you would expect a monk to be able to do. And dude, I got my ass handed to me for the first like 6 hours of that playthrough. But once I hit a certain threshold, you're unstoppable. Like the way I remember it working, and like I said, I haven't played Morrowind in a long time, so I may be thinking of another game, but I think it was Morrowind where it was like you didn't really do much damage with unarmed, but you damaged their stamina and you would like knock things down constantly. And once they were down, they were pretty much at your mercy. You know what I mean? Like once they didn't have the stamina to swing their weapon anymore, you could just pick them apart. Did you ever play RimWorld or any other colony management games? I'm actually learning right now as we speak how to play Dwarf Fortress. Got my first fortress. It's a pretty crazy fortress, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I've wanted to learn to play Dwarf Fortress for a long time. Uh, well before the Steam release. I got into it like years ago and tried to play and downloaded it all, put all the mods people recommended, and then I was like, all right, let's learn to play. And I just could not wrap my fucking head around it. Too many keyboard shortcuts and shit. The Steam release lets you, gives you a proper UI that you can click on and stuff, and it still lets you use the shortcuts if you know them. But yeah, dude, Dwarf Fortress is fucking, dude. I actually have kind of an insane fortress in Dwarf Fortress right now, dude, because I just kind of like governed it the way that I wanted, and so I let in people of different races. So like there are people of every race living in at least every like race that you can interact with living in my fort. Well, maybe not every, but there's some crazy like beast people living in my fort. I've got like a chick that's like a parakeet woman. She's running around in there. I got goblins. I got humans. I got elves. I got a bunch of dwarves. I just kind of like I have like an open door policy. I'm just like, hey, if you want to come live here, come on down. And so there's a lot of racial tension in my fort. I'm actually having like a conundrum right now about what I got to do because the goblins are being really disruptive. I'll tell you what happened. I was digging a hole or something, making a wall. But I don't know what I was doing. I was building part of the fort. and I got the an update, like an alert. And I clicked on it, and it was like, so and so dwarven child has been found murdered. And I was like, oh shit. And so I clicked on the thing to take me to it, in my fort, and it zooms me to the spot where this is happening. And here's what I see. It's in the residential district. There is the body of a dwarven child being dragged by a goblin who's covered in the dwarven child's blood, right? He takes the dwarven child into his bedroom and then comes out and starts cleaning up the blood. And I was like, you little motherfucker. Like, just murdered a kid, And so I had him arrested and thrown in the gulag. And he's gonna rot in there for the rest of his fucking life. I'll never let him out. But the problem is that these goblins, I hate to say it, but they're a very small part of my population, but they do a lot of the crimes, And I don't know what to fucking do. Because I don't want to be a dick about it. Dude, he killed a kid. Oh, I forgot to tell you. So Dwarf Fortress is crazy if you've never looked into it. You can click on any character in your fort, and it'll give you like a just so much information about them. It'll give you their whole history, give you what they're thinking in the moment, like what desires are driving them. They have a whole psychological profile that dictates how they interact with one another in the world, right? And so I was like, fuck, I got to click on this goblin and find out why he killed this dwarven kid. Like, and so I went, and during the time that he was killing the dwarven kid, the only thought that he had was, I can't remember his name. Glugruz is satisfied at a job well done. And I was like, you evil little goblin motherfucking infiltrator, dude. I fling open the doors of my fortress to you, and I say, come. All are welcome here as long as you are willing to work and help out around the fortress. And you come here to fucking kill people, you little shit weasel. Paul's final solution. Yeah, I was actually talking in TJ's Discord about it for a while, a couple of days ago. And I was like going through my mind, and everything I thought about was so fascist. It was just like, there's no way to deal with this. I was like, what if I created a goblin district? And made it so the goblins are, they've got their own kind of like area. And everybody's like, oh, you mean like the goblin ghetto? And I was like, oh shit, you're right. That's fucked up. Everybody else seems to be getting along okay. There's some drunken fucking brawls every once in a while. People get mad. But the goblins are fucking stealing. They're picking fights. They're getting too drunk and acting out. And one of them is, at this point now, one of them has killed a child. But the rest of my fort, it's kind of weird. Like I set up a library and set up the mechanisms by which my dwarves can create paper and books. And I got all that industry started, and that seems to be my fucking hottest industry. I got people coming from the four corners of the globe to read in my little library. I got scholars of all shapes and sizes, and people are just writing books like crazy. So my library is just expanding. So I got like this like scholarly civilization that isn't really about cranking out war materials, has a very small police force, and is kind of like makes art of different types. So that's kind of cool. Can you like rehabilitate goblins? I mean, I don't know. See, that's the thing is I'm sure that there are ways in which you can influence the goblin community in a positive way, but I can't figure out what they are, Dwarf Fortress is incredibly complex. It's got to be one of the most complex uh civilization sim game. It has to be the most complex one of those ever made. It's absurdly deep. Absurdly complex, almost like well, I mean, it was a barrier to my entry for the longest time, but I've Finally spent the time, and I know enough to get myself in trouble. Like I know how to build things. I know how to what the dwarves need. I know how to, make different sectors of my fort and dig and make metal into weapons and make clay into pots and all that shit. I figured out the industry side of it at least a little. Draenei. Oh my god. Found the WoW nerd. I guess I'm a WoW nerd too, though. I played WoW for a long time, but I had to go. I had to let it go. It got too cringe, dude. I'm not even gonna lie to you, dude. When World of Warcraft first came out, that game was baller. You know why? Because there was like a barrier of entry. Like little kids couldn't play that game. They just died. You know what I mean? So you at least knew that the people you were playing for, had hair on their nuts or something. You know what I mean? Like they've lived a few years, had a little dexterity. They weren't like plugging away at the keyboard with their chubby little toddler fingers, okay? But then they just dumbed it down and dumbed it down and dumbed it down and made it easier and easier. Now it's basically a game that plays itself, honestly. Like you could literally just roll your face on the keyboard and beat most of the content in World of Warcraft. It's so fucking easy. And there's so many clueless fucking children playing the game. You can't even get a good group together unless you want to join a fucking guild. And you know what that's about. Drama, whining, crying, people bitching, people no-showing for fucking raids. So everybody has to fucking sit around on their hands. I was like, no, I'm out of here. The children have invaded my fucking adult space and I'm gone. I successfully tried to play World of Warcraft. Yeah. Well, there was a barrier. There were a lot of noobs that were kids, but the amount of those noobs, those children that were going to make it to level 60, practically zero. So once you got out of the newbie areas and shit, you were pretty much free of children. You know? Not anymore. That game's unplayable due to that fact, too. It's just nothing but fucking kids and little tweens. Can't play for shit, but the game holds their hand through it. So they just run around being fucking mediocre and everything's handed to you on a silver platter. And it's really like developed a lot of little subsystems that are clearly like gotcha type mechanisms, or at the very least psychologically, if not physically, like gotcha games. They're just involved. They're like designed to make you want to log in multiple times a day and make you think about the game more because you got so many different things, so many irons in the fire. You know what I mean? It just got like, instead of just being like a fun game that you could play with other people, it became this like attention grabber thing, which, like that's a lot of things now. Are these things where it's not entertainment that's at the forefront, it's attention. How do we maximize the attention that people will pay? How do we get them to log in and have this thing in their face 24/7 so that we can sell them more premium upgrades or fucking little pay to win deals or whatever the fuck? You know what I mean? It just gets, and I can't play. I literally can't exist in an environment like that. I love the genre. I absolutely loved the genre, but I can't play the newer ones, dude. They're just not the same. I really enjoyed playing EverQuest with you, even if we kept dying. Yeah. No, that was fun. And see, you understand, like EverQuest is one of those games, total barrier to entry. I played it as a teenager, and it was a tough game for me, but I took it seriously. That is not a game where your 8-year-old little cousin is going to sit down and play. It's just, they would just die. They'd be lost. You know what I mean? It doesn't hold your hand. And I appreciate that about a video game. I don't like being felt like I'm being led around by a video game. I like a game to have mechanics that I can learn and get better at and excel on my own merit. That's part of what makes video games fun to me. You know, ultimately, if you boil down, and to be honest, I've been a fucking video game nerd my whole life. My dad was a computer programmer. He programmed his own fucking version of Missile Command on uh, a Commodore 64. So he got me into computers, and there were tons of games on that. I used to play this crazy game called Mail Order Monsters. It was like Pokemon before Pokemon, honestly. It's crazy. Cave the Word Wizard was another one that I loved. It was like a little educational game for kids, but it was dark as fuck and scary. Forbidden Forest and Return to the Forbidden Forest are two crazy fucking games. Anyway, like just these old games, and then I got a Nintendo. I had an NES. Didn't have a fucking huge collection of games, but I had a lot of friends, and I'd spend the night over there. They'd come over to my house. They'd bring their games. It was fun. Played a lot of NES games, and a lot of those games, dude, some of the hardest games you can play. And when I say hard, I don't mean hard because it suck, like the game design sucks, just like high execution games. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you've ever played a lot of NES games, but sit down and play just like Ninja Gaiden, right? Play it for like a couple hours and then go watch a Ninja Gaiden speed run and see what's possible in that game versus what your limited experience with it allows. You know what I mean? And then a lot of my friends, like around 10 or 11, started upgrading, or 12 maybe, felt like they started upgrading to like the Super Nintendo. But around the time the Super Nintendo came out, I think it was actually predated the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis came out. And I went over to a kid's house. I'd never seen a Genesis before, and they were playing the first Sonic the Hedgehog. And that was the first time a video game blew my mind. Like, I know looking at Sonic the Hedgehog 1 on the original Genesis now is not that fucking impressive, but I'd never seen anything so colorful. I'd never seen animation so fluid. I'd never seen characters that popped like that. I'd never seen such speed in a game. I'd never heard that type of music from a game. It was just like it was like stepping into the light, you know what I mean? And I was like, holy fuck. So when the SNES came out, I didn't want one. You know what I mean? I wanted that Genesis. I wanted to play that fucking Sonic game for myself. And so I ended up going down the Sega route. And I was the only one of my friends that did, which, positioned me well because people like to play with it. They like to play the Sega games and shit. And there was really no way to do that unless you had one. And none of my friends or myself was really ever wealthy enough to have multiple consoles going, If you had one, you were lucky. Was Yoshi's Island big? I remember it being big amongst my friends that I never would have played Yoshi's Island. I'm not a big Mario guy. I'll be honest with you, dude. Like, not to talk shit, but I liked the original Super Mario Brothers. I liked Super Mario Brothers 2 is my favorite Mario game. And it wasn't even originally a Mario game. It's like some other fucking game that they reskinned as a Mario game. But I love that game. I played those three Mario games, fucking great. Every other Mario game, dog shit. Sorry. I mean, that's just my opinion. I realize they're obviously not dog shit. So many people play them. But those first three Mario games, killer. Love playing them. Anything after that, like Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, I just don't have fun playing them. I like that OG. Anyway, yeah, I got the Genesis, and that had a ton of fucking great games on it, other than Sonic, obviously. I played Shining Force 1 and 2 on the Sega Genesis. Super underrated tactical JRPGs. I played Road Rash on the Sega Genesis, which is still to this day my favorite racing game. It's just so fun. Toe Jam and Earl was a weird one. I had access to the Fantasy Star game, so while everybody else was playing um Final Fantasy, I was playing Fantasy Star, and Fantasy Star 4 is one of my favorite RPGs of all time. It was great. I don't think it's as good as Final Fantasy 3 here in America. We called 3 was, but Toe Jam and Earl was great. And then the Sega CD came out, and I know that's kind of like a meme now. Like the Sega CD has become a meme, but I got to tell you, dude, it was mind blowing to have full motion video in a game. There was this game called Sewer Shark, right? And they had taken full motion video and integrated it into the entire game. And so the entire game was presented in this kind of full motion video, and it was fucking insane. That game was so cool, I can't even describe it. It had this dystopian future thing. You were basically like this dystopian future worker whose job it was to pilot this crazy spacecraft down into the old sewers to kill all the vermin that live down there, like all the mutated rats and shit that live down there. And it was fucking nuts. There was another game that was animated full motion video called Road Warrior, I think it was called. Fucking nuts. There was a game called Ground Zero Texas. It's like this full motion video. I just loved that fucking console. The Sega CD was great, man. And it was such a leap. Like the fact that it was eclipsed by the PlayStation 1 doesn't diminish its importance. Like Sega was first to the CD based console game. And those games are fucking classics in my mind. Best Sonic game too, by the way. If you want to play the best Sonic game ever made, you got to play Sonic CD. Sonic CD is 110% the best Sonic game ever made. I won't even entertain like questions about that. Like that's just it just is what it is. Sega just lost out on the market. It wasn't a bad product. Well, because they were first, Nintendo and then Sony had time to innovate upon the concept. And you know, Sega was still trying to support this by the time the fucking N64 and the Sony PlayStation 1 especially came out, dude, Sega was just limping because, you know, they had occupied a first kind of position, and then all of these other people had used that time to innovate, and now Sega was left with this kind of like just frankly old hardware they kept trying to save, you know. So the Sega CD begat the Sega 32X, which was this absurd thing. I had one, but it's that one kind of sucked. Although Primal Rage on the 32X was hella fun. Primal Rage fighting game. But yeah. And then after that, I got a PlayStation 1 in my teens. And that's basically like all I had until I was an adult. And then as an adult, I bought myself an Xbox. So I had an original Xbox. I had a PS2. I've had a PlayStation of every one but the 5. So I had a PS1, 2, 3, 4. Have not bought a 5 yet. I had a Nintendo GameCube that I got myself. I had an Xbox 360 for a while. So, you know, and it all throughout this time, I've maintained a gaming PC. So I wasn't just like a console pleb. I had all these consoles my whole life, but I also maintain a gaming PC. Play a ton of computer games too. So to be honest with you, like I'm a total fucking video game nerd and always have been. Like I play probably a lot more video games than you guys think I do. Like I play a lot. It's you know, it's one of my fucking hobbies or whatever. So probably my main hobby. Yeah, I played Metal Gear 1 on their original PlayStation. Crazy game, dude. I follow that route. PSX to PS4, then PC. No reason to get it. Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of waiting. Like they're already about to release, or maybe they did release the PS5 Pro or whatever, or the PS5 Slim. And you know, if you were a fucking PlayStation owner during the 4 series, that what comes after the Slim? Anybody want to say what comes after the Slim? If you know, you know. It's the Pro. And I want to get the Pro. I want to get like the final iteration of the console, or at least the final major technical spec iteration of the console, so that I can play all the games till the end of its life cycle. I've always said I'm a gamer, not an Xboxer or PlayStation. Yeah, no, no, yeah, no. I mean, there have been times where I did not like where I did nothing but play computer games. There are times where I did nothing but play console games, but I've always played games since I was a baby. So, one of those things. Paul, are you a disc or digital gamer? I was a disc gamer for a long time because you didn't really have a choice. But now I'm mostly a digital gamer. I mean, I don't know anybody who, unless you're getting like the collector's edition or something of a game with a whole bunch of extra art books and fucking soundtracks and shit. Like you're not like who's doing that? You know what I mean? Who's actually buying the CD? I don't think the DVD drive of my computer has been opened. Probably in like 3 years, dude. Do you agree that gamers the most discriminated minority group? No, no, can't. It's mainstream now, dude. One of the cringiest things is when I see people that are into games acting like it's some kind of club or something, dude. Everybody plays games now. Your little fucking toddler cousin's got a video game. Your parents hand the iPhone off to it so it can play and be quiet for a couple hours so they can, watch a movie or something. Like and grandma is playing Candy Crush. So like video games are not niche and not cool anymore. And I think that's one of the things that like gamers, that's why people think gamers are cringe. Because there's a bunch of people out there that don't realize that literally everybody on the planet is playing video games right now. You know what I mean? Like it did, like back when I was a kid, it was a niche thing. Kids of my generation and the generation directly preceding mine were the first gamers, first people that could even reliably be called that. I mean, growing up, I played some of the foundational game platforms. I didn't play all of them. Like I never had access to an Amiga. I didn't get access to an Apple IIe until way later. But I played a Commodore 64, Commodore 64 128 with the memory cartridge. I played a Vectrex. You could look this up. That Vectrex was fucking crazy. I didn't own it, but I had a friend that had a Vectrex. I had another friend that had an Intellivision and an Atari 2600. I had another friend that had an Atari 5600 or 8600, whatever the later iteration of Atari. I was playing game. I played on like literally had sessions on every one of these consoles growing up, like regularly. So, grandma played bingo. Yeah, see, everybody's playing, dude. So people need to stop, like gamers or whatever you want to call yourself. I think we need to stop trying to pretend that it's cool. It's not cool. It's kind of whack now. It's kind of square. But you can still find some fun games to play. And there's a lot of old games that you can go back to too. So Still a valid pastime, but it's hurting right now. Oop, son of a bitch. I don't know what I just did. Paul, do you like Rockstar? Yeah, of course. I played the original Grand Theft. Well, not the original. I did play the original Grand Theft Auto, but I didn't like it. Like the old school Grand Theft Auto 1 or whatever. But Grand Theft Auto 3, played it. Played the iterations of it. So I was like Vice City was Grand Theft Auto 3's kind of thing, and then 4 did 4 and its expansions. I did 5 and all of its bonus content and shit. So yeah. Um, there's other Rockstar games. I mean, Red Dead Redemption and RDR2, played those. So started on C64 as a kid, dude. There were such cool games back then, man. Such crazy cool games. I never played Bully. I don't know how I missed Bully, but I did. Vice City is my favorite. Not even gonna lie. I just the 80s setting is so like nostalgic for me as a child of the 80s. So having all that fucking music, all those like super fucking dank 80s classics on the soundtrack, and the neon drenched thing and the shoulder pads and the big hair and everything. The angular fast cars and oh man, yeah. That's my shit. That's my childhood right there. So I was bound to love it. Close second favorite though is San Andreas. San Andreas was the 90s game. So I was born in 1980, so I'm a child of both the 80s and the 90s. And so that game was fucking dope too, and had a great soundtrack. You'd go opposite, yeah. I mean, I think that's totally valid. I just had so much fun with Vice City. With those games, with Rockstar games particularly, I will just get on and cruise. Like that's a thing. You know, sometimes you want to play the game to like get something done it or advance the story or whatever. Dude, I could barely think of any game that I go to. I'm just gonna go fuck around and run around in the game and see what happens. Make some problems or whatever. Get into some fucking trouble. Like that's what makes Grand Theft Auto different from these other open world games, in my opinion. Yeah, just jump in your car, pick a radio station that you like, go cruising around, maybe see something that pisses you off and kill the person, run from the cops, get damaged in a shootout with the cops, pick up a hooker, bang the hooker to regain your lost life, then kill the hooker to get your money back, leave her body in the ditch, jump back in your white fucking 1980s Lamborghini, go to the club, start a fight. You know what I mean? It's just like an antisocial simulator. It's great. Drive like a crazy drunken maniac. See how long it takes to blow up a Lamborghini from crashes. So, State of Emergency, is that the Rockstar game that you're talking about? Because I did play that game. I got suckered into purchasing that. I think it's State of Emergency is the name of it. Yeah, it was like a fucking. I remember I bought it because it was a Rockstar game and I hated it. And I had to take the hit, dude. I had to take it right back to fucking GameStop and, bought it for $40 or $45 or whatever and had to sell it back for 25. Yeah, it was dog shit. Yeah, I bought that game. I bought that game at a time in my life, dude. 2002, I was 22. I was broke, like capital B broke. So I bought that game at a time in my life where didn't really have the money to buy it, and to bring that home, all jazzed about it, and to have it suck, I was just like, ugh. Would GTA San Andreas be your favorite game of all time, Paul? No, I was just talking in general terms about the GTA franchise. Vice City's my favorite, and then San Andreas, right nipping at its heels. Yeah, it sucked. It's a shitty game. That state of emergency shit. I wish GTA 5 had the cities Las Venturas and San Fierro in it. Well, maybe GTA 6. I don't know. Looking at the pictures, it looks like it's going to be somewhere in California again. So it doesn't look like they're going back East Coast. I mean, like looking at the trailer, I mean, that trailer didn't look like New York to me. That trailer looked like California. It was just bikinis and high rises and beaches and all that shit. That it's got to be what? No, Miami. Oh, is it Miami? Oh, okay. Well, whatever. Miami is the fucking California of the South. It's set in Vice City. Dude, I didn't know. I'm not like, dude, I don't follow all the scuttlebutt and the gossip shit. I don't read every little thing about the games. So that's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, I did not. I honestly did not know that, but it looked like Cali to me. You know, like it definitely looked like it maybe could have been Cali. But yeah, no, that's actually super cool. I did not know that. Either it had a crocodile in the track. I mean, I don't know. I figured it was at a zoo or something. That's neat. No, that's cool. Yeah, I get it, guys. You fucking you guys corrected me. I'm sorry. Like I don't like that's the thing is like I didn't even watch the trailer until like a week after it came out. I watched the trailer like 2 days ago, I think, for the first time. And I'm not like I love playing games, but I don't plug myself into the gaming hype machine anymore because I've been burned too many times, dude. I don't do it. When a game comes out, I'll try it, you know, and if it sucks, oh well. I didn't spend my whole life like hoping it was going to be great because I've just been burned too many times, dude. I mean that game that was brought up earlier, the State of Emergency from 2002 that Rockstar put out, burned the fuck out of me. I was all hyped up about it. I was reading about it in my EGM, you know. Oh, it's gonna be the next great fucking Rockstar game, and I got burnt. Just happens too many times. So now I like the way I don't get burnt is I really don't hype my expectations up for games. I'll watch a trailer. I'll go, oh, that looks kind of cool. When that comes out, maybe I'll check it out. After it's been out a couple of months, I'll look at it and go like, oh, cool. I'll get that. I'll give that a try. It looks neat. I'm also jaded. It comes with age. Yeah, it does. That is really at the root of like the whole kind of, not to take it political, because I'm fine discussing the history of video games some more, but that is really kind of like at the root of me, you know, using the lived experience argument when I'm talking to these kind of like younger commentators, because it's just an undeniable truth that with age comes a certain sense of being jaded. And that's just based on experience. You kind of get a sense of the rhythm of things as your life goes on. It's not like it's some psychic power, and you're still, you know, I'm still capable of being astonished by how things turn out. I'm not claiming to have that. It's not like prescience or anything. I'm not a psychic. But when it comes to institutions and how they interact with people, I've got a lot of experience that if you're 20, you just don't have, you know? And I think that matters. I don't think it makes your opinion invalid. In fact, far from it. I think that your opinions are important because to a certain extent they're outside of that paradigm. Like I think having young people whose inexperience is kind of replaced with passion is a good thing because I think it checks, older people like me from just making everything into doomer, like everything jaded. So it provides a good counterbalance, but you have to admit when you're discussing like how things have been, I know better than you do. I've gone to the DMV more times than you. I know how that institution works better than you. I've got more experience with it. I've signed more contracts than you. I know how that works. I know what's in them. I know what to look for. There's any number of things, and I think it's silly to try and ignore it. You know, and so like any other institution that I've interacted with multiple times, uh, politics is one of them. I've told you guys a bunch in my 20s and my 30s. I was incredibly politically active, politically savvy, and I really did my damnedest during those years to know what I was talking about, to know policy, and to know the history of the movements that I was involved in. And you can't replicate that experience in you know a quarter of the time that I spent building it. Like it just doesn't work that way. It doesn't make me correct about everything, but when it comes to talking about like tactics and stuff, I feel I feel like I have maybe you ought to listen to people who've been doing it for a while. That doesn't mean don't have your own ideas, don't try anything new, but one of the things that drives me nuts about this kind of like vote blue no matter who thing is that people are treating it like it's something that's particular to our times, and it really is not. The same fucking argument was made for Gore, who was a weak, shitty candidate. Everybody hated Al Gore. He was the butt of every fucking joke. Oh, just suck it up and vote for Gore. And I think running a weak candidate like Gore pretty much gave us George W. Bush, who I don't even have to tell you how fucking destructive that presidency was. You know, did it for John Kerry. Oh, I mean, fuck, man. John Kerry sucks. But man, Bush is so destructive. We can't handle another Bush fucking not 4 more years of Bush. So time to just hold our nose and vote for John Kerry. And I've watched not only what happens when we do that, and often when we do that, what happens is we lose. You'll notice that both of the candidates that I've mentioned so far were losing candidates. Um, not only do we lose, but when they do get elected, they tend to exacerbate the problems rather than fix them. So think Obama. So Obama is an election in my lifetime where I didn't feel coerced to vote for him. I genuinely believed that he was a different kind of politician, and I genuinely believed he was going to bring the change, at least a measure of the change that he talked about. And so I didn't have to hold my nose the first time I voted for Obama. But he was so bad, so contrary to what he'd presented on the campaign trail and what he'd promised the people of the United States that he was going to lead like that. He was so close in foreign policy, domestic policy, and economic policy, especially to George W. Bush, that when it came time to reelect him, I didn't vote. There's a reason why rich people donate to both parties. Yeah, and corporate entities as well. There's a reason why the major giant multinational multi-billion dollar, multi-trillion dollar probably now corporation with how much assets get hidden. There's probably trillion-dollar corporations. There's a reason why they hedge their bets and back both parties. You wrote in Vermin Supreme. Yeah. Probably a good vote. People on the right are already attacking GTA 6, calling it woke. To many people of color, cop killer simulator, a strong female protagonist to appease the left, the works. Huh, though? Because none of that is new to the GTA franchise, though. Maybe the female protagonist, but I'm pretty sure I remember there being a lot of strong female protagonists that worked along with you in these games. So having strong female characters, not new to the franchise. What else was it? There's a cop killer simulator. It's always been that though. Like it's not like that's new to GTA. GTA has always been a true crime simulator and cop killing fucking game or whatever. Too many people of color. I mean, GTA San Andreas is primarily people of color. The main protagonist is a black dude living in a fucking economically depressed black neighborhood and part of a gang and shit. Same for GTA 5. One of the main three protagonists that you switch between in that game is a black kid. So I don't understand it's just like do they not know what like the recent history of these games? Like so get like I'd be willing to hear the arguments, but like they're going off of the trailer, right? What did they see in that trailer that led them to believe that this game was like more woke than the last one was? I don't Did I miss something? They've been gaslit into thinking everything's woke. Yeah, I mean, probably. The game takes place in the game's universe version of Miami. Why would there be a majority of white people there? I mean, the same could be said for the game universe's version of LA. Like LA is not a place where you go and it's just dominated by white people. You know, LA is incredibly ethnically diverse. Probably the second most ethnically diverse city in the world behind New York City, which is the other basis for a main city in Grand Theft Auto. You know, like these are immigrant populations and minority populations. Yeah, GTA Pittsburgh might be all the other, but like no, these games are meant to be a reflection of the reality that we live in. And so, if you want my take on it, there's going to be a ton of shit in this game poking fun at wokeness. And there's going to be a ton of shit in this game poking fun at the people that get all fucking the right wing response to wokeness. That's how GTA does it. GTA puts a fucking comedic glaze over everything that we get ourselves worked up about in society. That's one of the reasons why it's such a brilliant video game. And so, in my opinion, that's exactly what's going to happen. There's going to be some characters who are clearly, some side characters, some mission characters or whatever, clearly making fun of like SJW types and woke folks and shit. And there's going to be some fucking, Proud Boys and some bullshit on there will be. Yeah. GTA 5 made fun of like LA's limousine liberals and the kind of pretension that comes with LA liberalism and made fun of the fucking right wing gun nut kind of culture. And you know what I mean? Like everybody was in the crosshairs. I mean, I forgot about this. GTA 4 is you play as an Eastern European immigrant. And, you know, a lot of the characters that surround you are the same. So this idea that all of the sudden GTA has become woke, GTA has just always kind of been woke, if you want to describe it that way. If to you, having a protagonist of color or a protagonist that's not distinctly white American is being woke, then GTA has always been woke. It's impossible to escape the woke. Oh no. The woke. The woke. I can't get from underneath the woke. It's like, what do you even mean, dude? Like, what do you really mean when you say that? Like, explain to me what it is you're having to tiptoe around. Like, how has your life genuinely changed because people are challenging the way that people use language? What around you has changed, bro? Like, honestly changed in your day to day. I bet you're going to come up with some bullshit. Um, my favorite philosopher. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I consider Derek Jensen to be a philosopher. I consider Thomas Ligotti to be a philosopher. These are more modern philosophers, but I tend to enjoy more modern philosophy than I do. I have read some Wittgenstein. I've read the Sprock. I've read you know I've read some kind of foundational philosophy, but I would say one of those two, Derek Jensen or Thomas Ligotti. Thomas Ligotti, very famous pessimist philosopher. Derek Jensen, well, maybe I don't know if Thomas Ligotti is very famous. He's famous to me. And Derek Jensen, eco activist and anarcho primitivist kind of philosopher. An Asian woman started a fight with me at work and threatened to call HR because I used the word Oriental. Oriental is kind of an anachronism, though, and has been since I was a kid. Like the generation right before mine would say things like that Oriental broad or whatever. It's just kind of an anachronistic way of referring to Asian people or Asian things. I don't really think anybody uses the term Oriental really anymore. I think that's been replaced by the broader term Asian and the even more inclusive terms for each Asian population. I think that one of the problems with Oriental is that it assumes that everyone from what we consider to be the Orient is pretty much part of the same thing. And so now you'll get Southeast Asian, Pacific Islander Asian, or people will introduce themselves culturally Japanese, Chinese, Korean, Mongolian, Indian, etc. Right? Because these are all populations that would have been called the Orient. There's a reason why people don't use Oriental. It invokes this kind of like white idea of what the Orient is, a land of mystery and strange magics, where the inimitable people scuttle around doing their business and talking to each other in a chatter that you can't even follow. You know what I mean? Like, that's a very racist idea of what Asian cultures are and are like, and very much diminishes the very stark differences between those cultures and shit. And so it's just not a word that I would use, bro. Like, I don't think that necessarily she should have called HR. She probably should have just informed you of what I just informed you of. Also wasn't allowed to say chick either when referring to young women. I mean, look, dude, do I think that you should be reported to HR for using that kind of language or whatever? No. Do I think that you should probably be more receptive to listening to people's reasoning when asking you to maybe reconsider your use of those words? Sure, absolutely. I kind of agree with the lady on Oriental. I think it's a stupid kind of like old word that's going to inflame people. And I don't even know where you're a Zoomer, right? I don't even know where you picked up, or like a late millennial. I don't even know where you would have picked up Oriental. I know the area that you grew up in. It's not going to be used any more than the rest of the fucking world. Paul's gone woke, you guys. No, I just think that people are so fucking hair triggered about it. When do you actually describe to people like what's going on and maybe why some of these words aren't used, kind of phased out, is because like what I'm making an argument for there is not like, oh my god, it's so offensive. I'm making an argument for like it's kind of an anachronism. It doesn't make sense anymore given our understanding of culture. Like the Orient never existed. You know, the Orient was always a uh, densely packed group of different cultures with different histories. Sure, their histories commingle at points, but it's clear that each Asian nation has its own distinct identity, just like every fucking white nation does, just like every black nation does, just like every Hispanic nation does, right? So the term Oriental just doesn't make sense. I don't care if it's offensive. Like, I'm not making that argument. I don't think you really have to. Is it offensive to me? No. But I'm not an Asian person who had to be called an Oriental broad or something growing up. You know, I probably would offend me if I was that. And so I try and take that into account. Like, I don't want to be overtly offensive for no reason to anybody. And I understand, like, and this idea that like language doesn't change is absurd. Just go back and read a book that was written in the 1920s. Like English language has changed profoundly. The way that we use it, the way that we use the English language to communicate has so thoroughly mutated since that very recent history that it's almost indistinguishable. You would probably have a hard time getting yourself from A to B in certain areas of this country if you went back to the 20s. So this idea that language doesn't fucking change is absurd. And to try and fucking put a bulwark up against that is just fighting a losing battle. It's going to change when it changes. Like language is particularly the English language, but I think language in general always evolving, always mutating, always incorporating different parts of other languages. You know, and so that's an absurd thing to whine about. And then the rest of it is just like, I don't know. It seems to me like it's almost like basic politeness, right? It's like, do you want to be a dick? Because you can be a dick, but people are going to call you out for being a dick. Nobody wants to work with a dick, you know? And talking to an Asian lady or whatever the fuck, or just anybody about like using the term Oriental, you sound like somebody from like the 50s or something. And it's a term that I'm sure a lot of fucking Asian people had used as a pejorative against them, and they don't like it, and they don't want to hear it. And so if you use it, if you choose to use it, you're probably going to be called out. Like, I don't get why, like, but that's no different. That's always been the same thing, dude. Like, and this is like not some new concept that just came out of language. There are terms that people used every fucking day in the 1940s and 50s that are not used at all now. Negro being one of them, right? That word was used from the 1800, probably the 1700s up, you know what I mean? And then just kind of disappeared out of the lexicon. And these types of words will continue to, you know? when it comes to the personal identity shit, like, bro, I barely have my own life handled, okay? And I find it to be, and this is stepping outside of the offense bubble because I'm trying to engage you on some other level because you've already said that you don't care what offends people. So it's like, okay, well, that's fine. Like, to me, it seems like the most basic politeness to refer to somebody how they want to be referred to. Like, to me, that's the most basic fucking thing. Now, if you're a dick to me, I'm not going to go out of my way to be polite to you in general, right? But if you're just a person I meet on the street and I say, "Oh, excuse me, ma'am," and you turn around to me and say, "Actually, I'm sorry, it's sir. I'm a oh, I'm so sorry." You know what I mean? Excuse me, sir. Can you know what I mean? Like, that seems to me like the logical way to move on with your life. What do you want to do? Like, have a whole argument on the sidewalk with that person? Like, transsexual is outdated. Yeah. Transsexual has been abbreviated to trans. And the reasons for that are etymological, I think. I think the reason that has happened is that people don't understand that sexual doesn't necessarily mean sex. And so it caused people to associate transness with sexual fetish. And so that's why I think people stop using transsexual. It wasn't great as a descriptor because it caused more misunderstandings than it solved. And so now trans is the more accepted way of using that. See, I just don't understand where you're at. I'm polite. I'm outwardly kind to strangers. That doesn't mean upon introspection that I should fit my language to somebody else's walls. See, you don't have to fit your language to somebody, like saying calling, but like, see, that's the thing. Is like if somebody walked up to you and was like, "Hey, little girl, what's up, little bitch, you little girl?" Like, what? Or just like maybe if they weren't even rude, they're just like, "What up, girl? How you doing, chica? How you doing, sis?" You know what I mean? Like if you were constantly getting misgendered, how would you feel? Like you said, you're polite, so let's exercise some politeness. If somebody that was around you was just consistently calling you the pronouns that you don't prefer, and I know you're a gay man, so maybe they're doing it because you're a gay dude, and they're doing it persistently and pervasively. Would you correct them at some point or ask them why they're doing that to you, or maybe if they could stop doing that to you? Because if the answer is yes, then you've undermined your whole position. Because you've just showed me that the polite thing to do would be for that person to stop calling you ma'am or girl every day. You don't like it. You don't want it, right? Yeah. You could ignore it. If it was somebody that you work next to and they'd never referred to you by the pronouns that you prefer, and every day they were like, "What up, girl? How's it going, lady? How's it going, ma'am? Oh, hold on. Let me pass you over to my associate, Mr. or Miss Jason. Hold for a few minutes for Miss Jason." Yeah, you just ignore it. Give me a break, bro. I know you too well. Dude, I've been under your skin too many fucking times to buy this like I'm Mr. Stoic now. Give me a fucking break, Jason. I feel like you are constantly talking to me like I don't know you. Bruh, just because we don't talk as much as we used to doesn't mean I don't know you. All right. Yeah. If that was expanded out to a lot of society, Jason, you'd be annoyed as fuck by it. If everybody, just because you're kind of like a wispy femboy, started calling you ma'am and missus everywhere, it would piss you the fuck off. And you would feel disrespected by it. And you would wish people would fucking just wake up and stop doing it. But for some reason, doing that for a trans person or an NB person is just too much time to take out of your day. What kind of fucking pedantic bullshit, dude? I don't feel like it's like strangling language control to refer to somebody how they wish to be referred to. Like, I don't think that's, you know, I don't think like phasing out some old broad anachronistic terms and replacing them with new, more efficient words is a bad thing. So what else is happening to you, Jason? Like, how the fuck is it happening? Like, what else? How else is the woke world trampling on your rights? Because so far, we've got you were asked to not use the word Oriental and chick at work, which I think is completely fucking to be expected. But that was a great imposition on you. What else has happened to you, Jason? How else is your life significantly impeded by just politely referring to people how they want to be referred to and maintaining a professional demeanor at work? Most people just aren't going to care to ask pronouns. Right. And I agree with that right now. I think that may change, but I agree with that right now. And I don't think there's anything wrong with misgendering somebody out of accident. Where the wrong comes in is if that person corrects you and says like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's ma'am," you know, that you don't flip your lid and act like they've fucking stepped into your life or something. They haven't. If you want to continue the interaction with them, you just call them ma'am. So it moves the conversation along. Everybody can get along with their day. And I'm pretty sure it feels good to that person who probably gets misgendered a lot to have somebody just, show them the basic human respect of referring to them how they wish to be referred to. I know that feels good when it happens for me. I like being correctly gendered when I'm out in public. I don't mind that when I go into a place that's looking to fucking solicit my business, somebody says, "Hello, sir." I think that's nice. And I don't know why you would want to fucking remove that basic social interaction and its politeness and kindness from trans people or from people who are non-binary. Why am I expected to lie to somebody, though? How are you lying, though? See, this is just bullshit, man. You are finding a way to take a simple social interaction that really involves nothing other than just basic core politeness, and you're trying to turn it in to some kind of fucking biology lesson or whatever. It isn't, dude. It really isn't. Trans women know they were born with a penis, my guy. And everybody knows that they were born with a penis, my guy. This is not something that you have to remind them about in your barest, most simple, polite, introductory social interaction. They know it. Trans men know they were born with a vagina and ovaries, my dude. They don't need to be biologically reminded of that fact every time you meet them. Like, why? What does that serve? Like, what end does that serve? Hey, Paul, I just joined. I love that I joined and you're ranting in favor of trans rights. I mean, I feel like I need to now. It's not a topic that I would probably spend a whole lot of time ranting about, but it seems to come up. And yeah, I'm going to take trans people's backs because I would hope they'd take mine, like they're human fucking beings and they deserve a baseline of human dignity and respect and equality. And as long as they're being denied that, they've got an advocate in me, okay? Because I don't like seeing people who are different get trampled on. I was a different kid. I was a little fat kid. I was a little nerdy kid. And I got my fucking shit fucked up quite a few times as a kid. I got beaten. mercilessly made fun of. Like, I don't sit and fucking play the violin about it because I moved on past it. I hardened up and I was able to deal with it. But I'll be goddamned if I'm going to stand with those people, with the bullies and the deriders and the scumbags and the social fucking the just socially fucking sociopathic people. I'm not going to do that, dude. A trans person is a person. The word that really matters in the term trans person is person. And it is fundamental to my core fucking being that every fucking person has the right to exist and to be safe and to be taken care of and to make opportunity for themselves where they see fit and to pursue their fucking passions. That's core to me. Debatable. Whatever. You're such a troll, Jason. You're a good troll, though. Because even if you are fucking riding the pine or whatever the fuck, you're good at fucking presenting these arguments as if you do believe them. Edgelord comment. I know he is. But whatever. Jason's a good agitator force for sure. And he's smart. Like, I give him that much. I know Jason better than you guys know Jason. Jason is a smart dude. He's intelligent and he's funny. So yeah, I've seen the positive qualities of Jason. The negatives, you just got to deal with it, you know. You got to accept. Got to accept the edgelord. I think there's a real conversation to be had on the topic, but anyone gets called a transphobe. If there's a disorder of the mind making someone confused, the mind should be treated, not body. So you understand that there is a medical precedent behind this, right? So gender dysphoria has been in the DSM-5 now for a while. And the research that's been done typically prescribes both. So psychoanalysis, psychotherapy, sometimes just hormone therapy, and in select cases where they want to go that far after they've gone down the gauntlet, gender reassignment surgery. So if I were to tell you that you can't change your body in some way, surgically or otherwise, how would you feel? It's just basic empathy class here. If you wanted to go get, I'm not trying to reduce trans surgery to getting a tattoo, so I'm trying to think of something else. If you wanted to go get, your tonsils out because you were snoring a lot at night. And I was like, wait, dude, without your tonsils, you're not going to be a fucking whole person. How would you tell me to just fuck off and go get your tonsils out anyway? So I'm saying that if you have that right to decide that over your body what it is you want to do electively, surgically or otherwise, medically, then so does a trans person, period. And that's it. There really is no discussion beyond that I can see, unless you can point out some fucking, social ill or make some kind of fucking moral argument. But I don't really, I've heard a lot of what the kind of like trans skeptic people say, and I find it a lot of it is dismissed just by simple human empathy. Like, say you're a woman and you want to go get a mastectomy because you have a family history of breast cancer and it killed your mom and it killed your grandma, and you want to go get a mastectomy. Would you ever stand in front of that woman and go like, you're cutting your breasts off? You're cutting off part of the system that makes you female? No, you wouldn't. So why would you stand in front of a trans person that wants the same kind of gender affirming surgery? How about a guy? How about this? Let's say you're bald. Z8. Let's say you're bald and you want to go get that surgery where they take some hair off of your fucking the back of your neck and they transplant it on top of your head. Do you realize that that is gender affirming surgery, right? You realize that that surgery is affirming your masculinity. The reason why men fret over losing their hair is that they see hair as a sign of virility and baldness as a sign of age and feebleness. And so it is gender affirming for men to go in and have a pretty fucking crazy surgery done where they cut a huge chunk out of your neck and then cut a huge chunk off your scalp and basically switch them. Okay? Gender affirming surgery. Would you stand in front of a bald guy and tell him, nope, don't go get that surgery? You ain't got the right to get that surgery. You wouldn't. So you say, what about the children? Okay. I was a child and I got gender affirming surgery. I will say it again. I was a child and I got gender affirming surgery. I have or had a condition, I surgically got it taken care of. I had a condition called gynecomastia, where around puberty, some men start to grow breasts. They get breast tissue, like a female would start to grow. And I hated the way I looked. I would not take my shirt off at the pool because I felt like I had a pair of fucking tits. And my parents took me to a doctor who examined me and interviewed me, and I went to a psychiatrist to talk about it. And the ultimate decision that was made that would be best for me as a child was to have a pretty fucking major surgery where they cut into my pectoral region and removed a huge pad of breast tissue and a bunch of skin and sewed me back up. Recovery time was long. It was a transformational surgery for me. I could take my shirt off in the pool. That was gender affirming care. So let me ask you a question. Would you go back and be the agent that stands in front of the little boy that was me? I got the surgery when I was 12 years old. Going on 13. Would you be the one that stands in front of me as a young man and says, you can't have this surgery, just deal with it, just wear a baggy t-shirt or whatever? Would you do that? No, you don't get to decide that. See, that's the thing. The DSM trumps you and whatever you think about this. You're not a psychiatrist. You're not a psychologist. You're not a psychotherapist. You're not one of the people that contributes to the research that drives the DSM manual. So you don't get to decide that people are just confused, and you don't get to intimate that there's some kind of fucking factory line of little kids getting their genitals mutilated in this country. Retarded. Both assertions are fucking retarded. I don't listen to you when I decide the validity of transness or not. I listen to the professionals. And the professionals, the people that have dedicated their educational lives, not to meme lording around on fucking, RuneScape and shit, but to learning about the human mind, what we know about it, and the fields of research in it. I'm going to go with them 100% of the time over you 0% of the time. You've got no expertise in the subject. You don't get to decide that transness is not a real thing because you think Dylan Mulvaney is convincing kids to get their dicks chopped off. Are you crazy, dude? Where there's so many ignorant trolls in the chat. I mean, there's gonna be. Yeah, I was not like, I'm not going to claim I was the most fit little kid, but I wasn't like blubbergumptiously fat. It's just something that happens to boys. It's actually way more common than you would think. And a lot of dudes, by the way, are too ashamed to ever seek treatment for it. So they walk around with that and they always feel horrible about themselves. So this is very much the same thing. It was like I had body dysmorphia from looking at myself in the mirror and seeing a pair of tits. Like that was my diagnosis. Was gender dysphoria or body dysmorphia due to looking in the mirror and thinking I'm a boy and seeing a pair of fucking tits. So this is very similar to the type of transitional surgery that we're talking about, and extraordinarily even more similar to the type of hormone therapies that we're talking about, puberty blockers and HRT and that sort of thing. And you want to decide, not a doctor, not a team of doctors and psychotherapists and psychologists, but you want to decide, you think you know what's better for children than the community that has dedicated its entire profession to treating children. On what fucking authority should I even listen to? Should I even entertain it? I don't know for a fact that doctors make a fortune keeping people joined at the hip with the medical industrial complex, overdiagnosing them and recommending horribly dangerous medications. LOL. Dude, you're talking about doctors that abuse their position. I'm talking about the medical community. Okay? What is it? What do you think that's a gotcha? That there are bad doctors out there? There are doctors that are on the grift. So we better just throw away all medical research. Yeah, we better just throw away all. By the way, you as a gay person should really see how I kind of wish I could take you back in time. And I kind of wish I could take you back in time to my high school and let you get treated like you would have been fucking treated in my time. So for you to say that this stuff isn't important, that people feeling safe and included isn't important, is just bullshit, man. Dude, you would have, if I could take you back in time, not only physically, but age wise as well. And we could go be 13, 14-year olds freshman year together. You would have gotten fucking torn up. Your whole goddamn high school experience would have been nothing but fucking misery. Would have been abject misery. So for you to try and impede that progress as a gay person is pretty fucking stupid, but whatever. Pick me gay person, kind of, yeah. He's just an edge lord first and then a gay person, you know. He's like he's committed to the edge. That's Jason's thing. It's one of the reasons why I like Jason, honestly. If I'm mad at him having this argument, but I appreciate the fact that he's a person that I know that's willing to put forth these types of arguments, and it forces me to deal with the arguments and not the person. Because if I didn't know Jason, I probably would have banned him a long time ago. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real. Jason would have been a pariah around here, but I know him in real life. And so, you know, and I do know that he holds some of these positions. He's not constantly, he's not doing nothing but trolling. you see TJ agree with Matt Walsh on the very specific issue of medicalizing struggle and such? I did not see it, so you'll have to explain to me better what the contention is, or I could go watch it, I guess. Is there a TJ video about it that I can go watch? We can watch it together, I guess. Because I'm willing to check it out. I just don't know what position you're referring to. So, chat, one's in the chat if you want to do that, two's in the chat if you'd rather not. You guys really are truly in control of this show. Way much more than most of you realize. So, one's in the chat, you want to check out a TJ thing, two's in the chat if you'd rather just keep bullshitting. It's like the ones are winning. There are quite a few twos. But well, I don't even know if they're, because I don't know how I'm gonna find this. So all right, enough voting. You guys can stop voting. We're going ones. Because I kind of want to do it too. I'll go to TJ's channel and see if I can find this video. But if I can't, you're gonna have to tell me where it is, give me some timestamps and shit. Matt Walsh on mental illness, I'm assuming is what it is, but it's a 26-minute video, so you're gonna have to timestamp me something on here because I'm not trying. I don't know. Maybe we'll watch it, but I would rather there be like at least a general area that I can drop into. You gotta say 3 for the manatee, of course. Paul, can you unban me on DFF, man? Is this the account that you're banned on DFF? Because I will try. But if you fuck up, don't even come in here because I'll ban you out of here. If you fuck up again, I don't know what you did. You probably know what you did. If you fuck up again, don't come crying to me about it. But yes, I'll go look right now and I'll get it done because I won't remember if I do it later. So I'll get on the Deep Fat Fried channel and I'll fucking try and find you. This is always I can't even promise I'll be able to find you. The ban list is pretty long. There's a lot of trolls and shit, a lot of spam accounts and whatever. So, but I will do my best. I will use the method by which I've been most successful to find your account. I'm assuming it's just Keldo or whatever. So let's see. I think it's down here. And maybe here? No. I always have a hard time, and they change it too. They're constantly fucking swapping it around. Like where you go for it. Sorry, I know this is not riveting content, but I'm not doing like some kind of fucking button down show here or something. You guys can take a break, go get a drink of water while I figure this out if you don't like hearing me hem and haw about it. I just want to take care of this. Manage your channels, maybe? No, this is my personal thing. Ugh, your channel. View advanced settings, maybe? No, that ain't it. Account. I thought there was like a fucking... Man, I fucking hate that they move this shit around and make it more and more fucking stupid to interact with. Hey, dropping in when you're live. I already talk of bans. I'm actually doing an unban. This is the opposite of a ban. I'm doing an unban right now, dude. I'm trying to figure out how to fucking unban somebody who I said I would try to on on fucking the DFF channel so that he can participate. He's promised he's not going to be a shitbag. And I want to, I can't do this for everybody, but I want to try for him. But I cannot find the fucking. Oh yeah. Oh, you know what? Maybe you got to do maybe it's in Creator Studio that you have to fucking do this stupid shit. Is that even still a thing? Do they still have Creator Studio? Yeah. I bet it's off in here somewhere. Yeah. It's gonna be in like Community or some shit. Yeah. Settings, Community. Yeah, this is what I was looking for. That was my. Yeah, hidden users. That's the ones, right? Okay, yeah, I gotta load up the whole fucking. Okay, yeah. So, all right, F. What was his fucking name? I forgot his fucking name now. God damn it! What was your name? Keldo. Okay, Keldo. Let's see. All right, your name is not popping up over here, dude. This happens a lot. I told you. I wish there was a way for me to click on your shit, but no. I mean, I tried, dude. I don't know. Were you under some other fucking name? You fucking troll piece of shit. Never mind. I thought it was banned. You fucker, dude. I just spent the fucking last 5 minutes trying to do that for you, you piece of shit. See, this is why I ban people. Just unban everyone? Nah. Nah. There might be a few bans on there that didn't really fully earn their ban, but there's a lot of bans on there that did. And I'd rather not deal with it. 100% rather not deal with it. Demonstrating that he did indeed deserve the ban. I know. Holla fucking Luya, dude. Who's the creepiest person you've banned? Dude, I gotta be honest with you. I don't even know if I want to talk about it. Like, I don't even know. Like, you guys don't understand. Like, you guys see a lot of good natured shit, but I've had people do some really fucking creepy shit and threaten some really fucking creepy shit, dude. Spill the tea. I really don't want to. Like, I don't want to empower what they've done by making it public. Like, as if they're out there, I don't want them to get the little thrill that they'll probably get of hearing that I was scared by them or some shit. So I honestly don't even want to talk about it. But, and I would recommend that if you're the victim of that type of shit, that you not talk about it, by the way. A lot of them are doing that specifically to get that kind of response from you. They want you to fucking complain about it. But suffice to say, people have done some creepy fucking shit. People have been creeps, for sure. People have done some creepy shit, threatened some creepy shit, threatened some dangerous shit. Said some fucked up shit. Can you give us a vague idea? I mean, all right. I haven't even told anybody about this. Like, I didn't even tell my girlfriend at the time about this. I did a ideology. I don't even know if I want to fucking talk about it. I guess I'll do it because, like, to give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about. All right. I did a ideology once where me and my ex-girlfriend Ashley went um down like to the pier area. I can't remember what that area is called in Seattle. Fucking fish shops and shit. I can't not, like where the fresh water fish or the fresh fish station is at, where they sell all the fish and shit. I remember Pike Place. We went down to like the Pike Place market area. Yeah. Yeah, Pike Place. And we did like a little fucking like live hangout, and then some fans came down and met us. Those people were fine. They're not part of the creepy. But there was a dude that DM'd me on Twitter, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken. And he was like, now, obviously, this could have been just a troll using the fucking. I was in a fucking geographically well known spot and shit. But this dude sent me a bunch of messages that were like, dude, I saw you, Paul, down on fucking Pike Place. He was like, and that fucking, like, he just threatened me a bunch of times. Like, he said, if he saw me down there again, he was going to cut me up. If he saw me down there again, he was going to shoot me. He said some creepy fucking shit, and almost some shit that led me to believe he might have been like around, because we walked all over that area. We ended up walking up to the top of Capitol Hill and having a fucking smoke sesh up there and shit. And he kind of knew stuff that wasn't like, not, he wasn't like super specific, but he might have like actually been around down there, you know what I mean? And it just like fucking yeah. Joseph Martelli is another. I have talked about that one before, and I mean he got fucking crazy, and it he got crazy. Like I don't even know what to tell. Like it's scary shit, dude. He was posting pictures of guns, talking about how he was coming to fucking Seattle, and we all kind of played it off, and we're like, oh, whatever, he ain't gonna do it. And then he posted a picture of the front door of my apartment building, like literally the door that I use to leave every day and walk around the fucking neighborhood. Like it was my apartment. It was like from across the street of the front door that and it wasn't even really the front door. That's the spooky thing. It's like it wasn't like the main entrance. It was the fucking entrance that my apartment was closest to. So it was like a side entrance on a side street. And so the picture of that door, picture of that, like, because it was like, whatever. It was plexiglass, so you could see into the lobby where the elevators were, and then it had a card scanner on the door. It was that door. Posted pictures of that shit. He was fucking crazy, dude. And it's just like, man, I'm already a dude. I've been a victim of that kind of like run up on you type of crime. And so I'm already a paranoid about that type of shit. And to have people threatening it, and I mean, it's one of those things, dude. We have called the cops on Martelli. Absolutely. There are police reports. There ain't no way. I knew the dude's name, you know? Like most of these trolls, you can't really make much of a police report off of like meme lord 2789 or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like if you know the dude's name though, yeah, you bet your ass there's a fucking police report. How the fuck did he know about that specific door? So I figured this out. He didn't know he was doxing me. He was trying to dox the Drunken Peasant studio, which incidentally was in a studio apartment on the seventh floor of the same building I lived in. So he was trying to dox the DP studio and did. That's where the studio was located at that time. But he didn't know that that's where I lived and was like every day. It wasn't just like where I went a couple of times. That's where my like girlfriend walked in and out when she walked to work. That's where me and all my friends came and went from my apartment. Like that was my home. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was fucked, dude. Yeah, that's where Dinor lived. There was the door we brought him out if we wanted to walk him down to the fucking curb and let him poop or take him on a little stroll. That's where his little butt came in and out. It's like, yeah, my whole little family, you know what I mean, at that time was living there. And then fuck that, dude. You feel just so powerless, you know, because I'm not like a fucking, I'm not Rambo. I'm not going to go get a gun and go hunting this fucking guy. And, I'm not Liam Neeson. So what are you going to do? I'm not a violent dude. I just want to be left alone. Like I would, that's the fucked up thing is like these things never work two ways. You would never catch me out in front of somebody's fucking house, like leering through their windows or taking pictures of their front door to intimidate them with, or really trying to intimidate anybody with violence or anything like that. Like, you never see me do that. But I've had a bunch of fucking people do that to me. And it's like, fuck. It's like, fuck, dude. Most people who do that aren't even mentally ill. They're just bored. I mean, I think there's a little bit of mental illness to some of the sadism that we're talking about. Like, I think if you're a young person and you're fucking getting off on scaring some dude into thinking that he's going to be murdered, I think there's probably some mental illness going on there, my G. But whatever, have your controversial take on this too, I guess. I'm sorry that happened, Paul. I mean, it's cool. It's just one of those things that people don't think about that comes with the territory of doing this kind of job. Is like there are always crazies out there. And when you fucking attract attention to yourself, those crazies are sometimes gonna fucking like beam in on you, and you gotta live with that. Thankfully, I wouldn't say it's like out of control. I feel pretty safe, and thankfully. So, and I don't think there's a lot of, but hey, you never know. Uh, anyway, give me a second. I'm gonna go pee. I'll be right back. Ding 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 ding. Can we ban people who keep making Brett Keane references? Nah, it's becoming cool low key again to do it. Hey, absence and distance make the heart grow fonder. I'm way more tolerant of Brett Keane's bullshit. The Keane memes or whatever. You ever miss DP? Yeah. Sometimes. It was a lot of fun. It was a whole lot of fun. Uh, you know, I was tore up about leaving that show, honestly. Like in a very real way. It sucked. Do a bong. No thanks. Pass. Everybody wants that the whole inside scoop. You guys have heard most of it, dude. There was a lot more told publicly by both sides than in most of these cases. It just didn't blow up into a giant drama. But I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna be the one that fucking gives all kinds of detail that don't need to be given. Part of doing business is knowing, how to move on without blabbing your mouth off to everybody. Interpersonal conflict is not a public sport, for me. Not real interpersonal conflict. So I try not to put that shit on Front Street. I've talked pretty openly about it before, but like in terms of some of the pressures that were on me during that time, and I think I'm well with my rights to do that. But as far as let me tell the little gotcha story from my perspective. It's like I really don't want to do that, dude. I love the show. And I don't want to be part of continuously trying to tear it down or whatever. I love that show. I kind of always will. So I don't watch it anymore. That I don't mean in that way. I just mean my time with that show, my memories of that show are crazy. Just a really great time in my life. Just a fun time, fun transitional time. And I wouldn't change it. I think there's this kind of idea that when creators leave a show or something, it's because they hate the show. It's like, man, would that were that it were that simple, I'm glad you exposed Milo. I don't feel like I really did. But whatever. I love DP, but I think DFF now almost twice as long running as the OGTP run, I believe. Yeah. Isn't suffering from the staleness that eventually took over DP. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's eternally going to be compared, but I wish people would stop making the comparison. I mean, I get it. I'm not like chastising you or whatever. I'm just saying, like from my perspective in talking about it, like that's not the angle with which I take. It's a different era of time for me, and it was a different part of my life, and I'm happy to talk about the things that happened during it. But in terms of like satisfying people's insatiable need for more interpersonal strife and bullshit, I just don't want to do that for reals, dude. I'm fine having like an angry outburst at somebody over politics or whatever. It's part of the show, you know. But when it comes to like personal shit, I've got a very, I guess, conservative idea of, personal privacy and personal accountability or whatever. I just try not to be a fucking destructive force in the world to the best of my ability. And I try not to, I try not to make people genuinely fucking feel bad. I know I do sometimes, and that sucks. I know I've gone off at trolls and maybe made them feel bad about themselves a couple times maybe. But I know I have the capacity to do that, and I try to not do it, What was your favorite DP moment? I don't know. There's a lot of little moments, I mean, going on that show and at the beginning, it was so by the seat of my pants. There were times where I was doing the show out of a hotel room. I mean, I didn't have an apartment, flying like literally flying by the seat of my pants, homeless, doing the show. You know what I mean? Like, not homeless at the point of destitution, but just homeless in that I was traveling so fucking much that, I was basically living hotel to hotel in different cities as I was, going about this crazy new career. Ben's extroversion made TJ uncomfortable. Yeah, I know that's true because Ben and I are similar extroverts, and it makes TJ. I've made TJ very uncomfortable before. Just I'm chatty in public, not in a weird way, just in like a friendly, neighborly kind of like commiserating way, and it drives him nuts. I used to do it on purpose. I feel kind of bad because but it was for the jokes. I don't think it hurt him. He didn't have to participate or nothing, but it would drive him nuts for sure. No harm was intended, ribbing him a little bit. What the fuck is extroversion? It is okay. So based upon a continuum between extroverted and introverted, most people fall somewhere in the middle of the continuum, or with some significant percentage of both. I'm one of those people. I'm an introvert and an extrovert. I think I'm very introverted in most of my life, and I'm an extrovert when I perform and when I'm in public to a certain extent, and at gatherings and in public. And so I have a good balance of both of them, I think. But extroversion just means outgoing, chatty, glad handy, kind of like socializer. And an introvert is a person that kind of prefers to be in alone, or maybe with only one other person, or a very small group of people, but enjoys their alone time, enjoys their time kind of being about their own business and stuff like that. And would rather not be socializing a lot. Extroversion is sometimes one of my survival coping mechanisms. I genuinely believe that for most extroverts, it's that way. It certainly is for me. I mean, it's how I navigated the world. It's how I learned to navigate a world that was pretty hostile to me as a little fat kid, a little fat white kid in a mostly Hispanic district. I didn't do too well socially speaking in school, especially, you know, middle and early high school. But the coping mechanism that I developed was being extroverted. And I would sing, played in a band, got into drama, and a lot of that led to the confidence that it took for me to develop a social group and have what I consider to be a really fun. Like, I always feel sad for people when they say like high school sucked, because I'm not trying to be like the jock that forever remembers the touchdown that he got on fucking the Thanksgiving game or whatever the fuck. But I had fun in high school. Like, I had a good high school experience. I had a lot of friends. I fell in love for the first time. Got my heart crushed for the first time. Bought my first car. Smoked my first doobie. Had my first drunken rager. Played in my first band. Got my first partial BJ. Got a couple of HJs. You know what I mean? It was a good time for me. I didn't have, I didn't have the what I would call like the typical Chad experience in high school, but I had a large social group, a lot of, a lot of people, and I was pretty good status within that group. I was a cool kid in that group. Outside of that group, I was kind of a nobody, but it didn't really matter because I wasn't there for them. I was there for my group. Was your band called the Partial BJ? No, it should have. It should have been though. That's a good band name. The Partial BJ. There really is nothing like that first hand job. No, dude. You fucking tell me about it, dude. Trust me, I know. What did you play in the band? Nothing. I was a singer. Yeah, Apple Nasty, yeah. The greatest band ever. The greatest garage band ever, dude. The most underground band that you'll ever hear anybody talk about, Apple Nasty. No, it wasn't even 0.75 of a BJ. I would say it was, let's be honest with you, the whole act was about 50% HJ, to be honest with you. And then there were, I mean, so setting that aside, it was not great. It was not 0.75% of a BJ by any, it was a very frustrating experience, dude. It's a very frustrating experience, but I was really I didn't know the things I know now about female anatomy and stuff. It took, like, I had to learn those things. I mean, I knew the concepts, but oh man, that was just such a frustrating. Okay, so I'll just tell you the story. And well, is this story kind of child porny if I was 16 when it happened? Can you tell like a sexually explicit story about something that happened to you when you were 16 and not have it be porny? It's definitely not that for me. I don't remember it as a traditionally pornographic thing. But I don't want to be weird. I definitely don't want to overshare. You're calling the cops right now. I know. Anyway, I'll keep it. I'll keep it as PG as possible. Whatever. I was 16. My girlfriend at the time was, and when I say girlfriend, I mean, like, if Facebook would have existed back then, I wouldn't. Neither one of us would have put in a relationship. We would have used "it's complicated." Okay, we were on again and off again, and never on, according to some. You know what I mean? Like, but we fucked around. And so anyway, we went on this camping trip, which in and of itself was, the fact that my parents allowed me to do this was fucking amazing. Thank you, mom and dad. It was really cool of you to let me be so irresponsible. But I basically packed up a bunch of shit, a bunch of tents and a bunch of alcohol and a bunch of fishing poles and, some starter logs and shit. And we just kind of went up into the mountains until we like hit some roads and didn't see anybody come by for a while. And then we just kind of found a little place to pull off and walk down to a little stream. We just set up camp, probably on somebody's private land and shit. But whatever, it didn't matter. And there were two couples. It was me and my on again, off again, it's complicated girlfriend, and my friend Rodney and his girlfriend. And so we set up our tents and everything, and it was pretty cool. You know, we got a little fire pit made, and we made a fire, and we did a little fishing, and we drank some beers, and we smoked some reefer, and it was pretty good. We were just smoking and joking, and then it got cold. We were all pretty tired anyway because it was a long day up into the driving up and packing and everything. We were all pretty tuckered, and so the sun went down. It got kind of cold. We just let the fire burn down. We all went to bed. Well, it was really like, like if you think about like movies that you've seen where the dude doesn't have any idea what to do or how to start. Like for me, it wasn't even really that. It was like I didn't know how to start things. Like taking the initiative at that point was just not something I was comfortable with, because I was so afraid that I was going to be rebuffed. And I didn't want to look creepy too. That was another huge thing in my mind, is like, and so we were kind of like making out a little bit in the tent. And I was just, it was like the eternal makeout session. There was no like nothing else going on. It was just, we're kissing, right? And she at one point grabbed my hand, put it on her bra. She was still in her bra at this point. I was like, see, at that time, I didn't understand what an invitation that was, because I wasn't I just thought like she was saying like, and really she was like, oh, we can take this to the next base. But I didn't realize like how far into the next base. And so it was just a very tentative thing. And let me put it this way. Eventually it got to the point where I was, I don't even know how to, like I said, I'm not trying to be creepy. I went for the finger bang. I was horrible at it. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't think it felt very good for her. She was like, just let me take care of you. She helped me put a condom on. She bobbed about twice and then was like, I'm sorry, I just can't do this. And I was like, all right. I pulled the condom off. I pulled my pants back up. I went and sat by the fucking dull embers of the fire and smoked the last of a roach that I had, and lamented the fact that there's nowhere nearby and safe that I could go to jerk off real quick. Went back into the tent, cuddled, and went to sleep. That shit right there, dude, that's a fucking rough one right there. That's a rough one. God was watching you. If she likes you, she will make it. Well, she was fucking uptight about it too. Like, you gotta understand, dude, our generation was kind of uptight about sex. Not totally, but kinda. And so she didn't really know, like, either. You know what I mean? It wasn't like you'd seen it in movies and shit, but there's a difference between watching, Brad Pitt's ass and Legends of the Fall bobbing up and down, you know what I mean? And knowing how to fucking, engage in foreplay and all that shit. There's like a whole different fucking thing. You just kind of pick it up. More than ever happened to me in high school. Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably true for a lot of people. Practice, yeah. It was practice. But whatever. It was just one of those things. Like, I think that there was a chance I could let me tell you guys a story. All right. And then you guys tell me if there was a chance that if I had the riz and the confidence to do it, that I could have negotiated a threesome in high school. I'll leave it up to you guys. I will tell you fucking exactly what happened. Okay. I was in the drama room. It was after hours. We were there for a play or something. And I was coming back after school. So it was probably like before practice, but I was there early by about half an hour because I wanted to go over my lines and shit. When I showed up there were these two chicks that were there. They were my friends. One of them I had made out with just a couple of months earlier, but we had decided like, no, it's cool. We don't like the spark wasn't there or whatever for either of us. We just decided like we'd rather just stay friends and not complicate it. And this other girl had been kind of she was flirty. She was flirty anyway, right? But you know, she was kind of flirty with me. She was flirty with everybody. She wasn't like, I'm not saying she was whatever. I'm not making any commentaries. She was just flirty, but she had flirted with me a lot. And these two chicks were there and they were like, oh, hey. So they came and they sat on this couch that was in the big drama assembly area with me. And I was, you know, I had my lines and shit, and they were just talking, and one was sitting on either side of me. And we were just chatting it up. And the topic came to sex, kind of, you know. They were just like, oh, you know, like so and so brushed against my leg or whatever in class and it turned me on, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, what really turns you on? And I was like, well, you know, I got like, and this is true. I was like, I kind of got like sensitive ears and neck. And so, and it was way more true when I was a fucking teenager too, because that type of titillation is different when you haven't been laid. You know what I mean? Like, but I told them that, and they were like, "Oh, that's so cute," blah blah blah. And then, like, kind of simultaneously, they giggled and looked at each other, and then one started nibbling on my left ear, and the other started nibbling on my right ear, and like kissing on my neck on that side. And I was like, whoa. I made you know, I laughed about it. I was like, oh yeah, that was cool or whatever. But I think that what I could have done was like, ladies, let's go back into the fucking dressing room and see what else fucking happens over here. Let's see what else we can find. Do you think that I could have negotiated a possible threesome in that instance? They hit you with the Father Abraham. Yeah, they did, dude. Except they weren't my daughters. But yeah, no, they did, dude. They fucking, it could have gone either way. I think you're right. I think they were just messing around, but they did it for a long time, dude. Like I laid there and just fucking enjoyed it for a long time. Did you get hard at that moment? Dude, I was like fucking I was like fucking 15. I got hard at like a stiff breeze. Of course, dude. I was probably like ready to fucking like pop a vein or something. If you rizzed them up a bunch, you could have dipped it, probably. They just wanted to get your engine started and fully. They were definitely like I know the one girl and I had messed around before, and so you know, like we clearly had like a physical attraction, but we were really good friends. Me and that girl in particular. Well, actually, I was really honestly good friends with both of these chicks. Like both of these chicks were people that would just like we'd go off campus together at lunch and just get fucking tacos together and just chill and listen to music, you know. And so I really found that that was the case most of my life. It was a friendship with a chick that ended up turning into something else. There's only really one example in my life that is contradictory to that. What was your favorite role as a theater kid? I had a couple. My favorite Shakespearean role was I got to play Caliban in The Tempest. I got to play Sir Toby Belch in Twelfth Night. I didn't get to do the whole show, but I did a long form scene from it. Those two roles were great as far as Shakespeare went, and then I loved getting to play Oscar Madison in Neil Simon's The Odd Couple, opposite my friend Rodney, who played Felix Unger. So that was really fun. I got to do one of the hardest roles in theater, or at least one of the longest and most memorization heavy roles in theater. I played the narrator in Our Town, which was basically just pages of dialogue that I had to long monologues. So that one was fun just for how it tested, and it's kind of a cool role too. You play a play narrator that talks to the audience, but then you kind of shift into different scenes. So you become the shopkeeper, you become the policeman, you become the teacher, you become the principal. You know what I mean? So you play multiple roles basically, and then you shift in and out of it. So that was a really cool role. There's not a lot of roles like that, I think, in theater that I'm aware of. So those just stuck out to me. You still have dreams of thinking you're a kid and having to get ready for school? No, those have been replaced by I'm in my 20s and early 30s and I have to get ready to go to work. I have to get ready to go to Starbucks. I have a lot of Starbucks dreams still, and the occasional school district dream, the occasional IT nightmare dream. But it's pretty limited to those. I don't really have high school dreams anymore, unfortunately. If you had the opportunity, would you ever do community theater again? Sure. Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a time thing. And I just don't feel it, that I've been at my best the last certain period of my life, I feel like I'm slowly but surely like building myself back up after a period of pretty rough depression and isolation and shit. And I feel like it's a long process, and I don't feel like I would be at my best right now to do that. And I refuse to give anything other than my best. If people are gonna be paying to come see me on stage or whatever the fuck, I respect the craft of theater more than I respect most institutions. And so, because I know how magical it can be if people give their all, and I refuse to do it if I can't do that. Moved a lot, yeah, and I feel like I foresee a lot of moves in my future. Did you go through a bad period of depression recently? I don't need to talk about every little aspect of my life, but I wouldn't say super recently, but I would say that I went through a really bad period that I'm still on, I'm still not fully fucking, it comes in like long cyclical waves. And, I feel like I'm on the uptick, and that's a good thing, but, it just is what it is. I mean, I've been that way my whole life. It's not really notable over the course of my history. I'm a major depressive. And so my life is kind of navigating that, and it's something that it asserts itself at every point in my life. It's not something that goes away. It's something that is fundamental to the piloting of this body that I have to do to live in this world. And it's tough. I've talked about it before. I struggle. I've got the twin, depression and anxiety disorder. It sucks. I don't know what to tell you. I'm fucked up, and it's definitely a progressive disease. I've gotten worse over the years, if I'm being honest. I think I've gotten better tools at dealing with it, but I think I've had to because this disease has just since it started in early puberty for me, it's just gotten worse every decade of my life. And I feel like that here I am at the beginning of my 40s, and yep, it's taken another step. You're very relatable. Probably why I've loved listening to you. Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, whatever. I try and keep it real about mental health stuff because I know there's still this kind of taboo about people talking about their struggles with it, even though it's better now. I try and be a person that it helps. It's cathartic in a way for me to talk about it, but it's also, I know something that people don't talk about often. And so I try and at least keep it real about it. Sorry to hear that, Paul. Is there anything that helps? There's a ton of things that helps. I mean, I'm sitting here right now. I've got this it's about the size of a softball. It's the spiky kind of like massage ball. It's supposed to be used as like a roller for your back or your feet, but it's really intensely, it's not sharp, but it's stiff and covered in these little dull spikes. And texturally, I handle it and squeeze it. It doesn't cause pain necessarily, but it's uncomfortable to squeeze it. But that is something that helps me through periods of anxiety. So, to be frank with you guys, I've been feeling anxious all day today. Not super bad. I've been managing just fine. I haven't had a real horrible panic event or anything today, and I don't think I will. But I've been, like there are degrees of this shit, and my anxiety today has been pretty perked up. And so yeah, I'm sitting here right now with that little ball and I'm squeezing it, and it whatever, it gives me something to focus on. I use ice packs sometimes. I'll get up during the show if I'm feeling particularly nervous, or just, if I'm hanging out during the day, not on the show, and I feel nervous. I feel like a kind of panicky, right. That kind of feeling. I will go and get an ice pack and I'll hold it in my hand, not till it's like damaging me or giving me frostbite or anything, but just like giving that numbing kind of cold feeling. And then I'll move it to the other hand, and doing that seems to help focus. Like take the focus off of that kind of negative uh, self negative internal narrative that comes with depression and anxiety. Yeah, I like this one because sometimes I'll put it down on the floor and I'll kind of like roll my foot around on it. It feels nice to have, and I keep it here by my desk and I grab it up and I use it, when I need to. Is there a cure for anxiety? No. There are lifestyle changes and stuff that I could probably make that would help. Um, there are different drug treatments. I am currently medicated, but there are different types of ones maybe that would work better for me. But as far as a cure, no. Watch the DFF documentary of the Boogie documentary made me realize he's a mirror version of you. He's a dark mirror of me. Really? I don't think so, bro. I don't know. I don't see it, but whatever. Yeah, I'd rather not talk about specific medications just because I've learned to walk the fine line of like I don't want to be I'm not I don't want to like I don't know. I don't want to be promoting any one drug. I think that a doctor needs to do that. It's just something I don't do. I don't talk about what medicines I'm on and shit. But not out of any shame or whatever. It's just like I don't want that to be fodder for people as well. So But yeah, I have no problem talking about the fact that I'm medicated for sure. I mean, I think that there's no shame in it. If there's a permanent cure for anxiety without side effects, would you take it? Absolutely. I'd fucking I'd I'd take it immediately. Absolutely. It sucks. There's nothing about it that's nice. There's nothing about it that's life affirming. There's nothing about it that I feel like I need. It's a big giant fucking anchor around my neck and it prevents me from being happy. And not I'm not saying I'm not ever happy. I'm just saying like it intercedes at times where I should be happy and makes me frightened and makes me sad and makes me hopeless. And yeah, I would immediately cure it. I don't even know if I found the right medication for me, honestly. It's a constant thing. I go to the doctor, they talk to me about how I'm feeling, they adjust a dose or try a different fucking medication that works. You know what I mean? Like it's an ongoing process. Like I don't feel like I'm ever going to be a person that finds like, okay, this is the medicine that really this, I try different things and there've been long periods of my life where I just go off medication and shit. And it's usually pretty destructive. It's to me, to just personally for my mental health. So I don't. Yeah, yeah. There's no I know some people are like, if you could change your depression, would you? Because you wouldn't be the same. I'd be like, I don't fucking care. I'd rather not be the same person than to live with this shit. You know what I mean? If there was a fucking miracle cure, I'd take it. Absolutely. I think I would be a better person to everybody in my life. I'd be better to my wife. I'd be better to my pets. I'd be better to my nieces and nephews and my sisters and my mom and my dads. You know, I think I'd be just better, you know, be better to my audience. I'd be better at my job. I'd probably be more successful at my job. You know what I mean? It's a huge fucking barrier that I'm struggling against all the time. Of course, if I was free of it, I'd be able to fucking, who knows what I'd be able to do? Everyone is different. You do you, Paul. Yeah, no, that's what I do. That's what I try and do. I try and do good. I try and be good by people, and I try and be good by my family, good by my friends to the extent that I can. You know what I mean? And I do my best, and I deal how I got to deal. I don't make excuses for the failings that are exacerbated by it. I take responsibility for my bullshit. But I'm old enough to know who and what I am too. And you get tired after a while of expecting change when no change really comes. And so there's kind of like, at least for me, like this real movement towards just accepting how I am. Because there have always been these things, some of them adjacent to my mental illness, some of them probably not, just personality driven, maybe, that, have come up over and over again in my life and personal relationships and romantic relationships. And I've really like worked at times to try and change them, but I always seem to fall back into it. Like one of those things is having some pensive alone time. I cannot socialize 24/7 365. I can't do it. And in the past there's been a real fucking kind of You know, I want to go off in my little own world and I want to read or I want to play a video game or I want to watch a movie or I want to just be alone with my thoughts. And you know, I reached a point where I just kind of like stopped trying to not be that, because it is not good for me to force myself into, you know, constant social situations and shit. So it's not that I don't enjoy doing it. I do enjoy socializing and stuff, but I'm, you know, way more. I need recharge time. You know, my social battery runs empty. I need to fucking recharge. I can't do it. You know, the job that I work makes it even more pronounced. You know, because it's, if you think about it, it's 12, some 13, just showtime. Just talking about the shows. Sometimes upwards of 15 or 20 hours a week of just live interaction. And that's not counting all the meetings and all the bullshit. So, you know, it's just tough, you know, but it's something that I stopped looking down on myself for and just accepted. Like, look, and I learned a little bit about it too. And it's not unreasonable to ask for. It's not an unreasonable thing to have. It's not unreasonable to go off and be on your own, you know. Of course, you got to make an effort to not do it constantly or all the time or forever, but you know. So I'm like that. Snappy, you know, I don't feel like I'm as snappy as I used to be, especially in my personal life. But I definitely, at one point in my life, would have described myself as snappy, just quick to like get emotionally invested and involved. I think that's still definitely a part of my personality, but I feel like now I decide when to display it more than I did when I was younger. I feel like I've gotten better at like using it when I kind of feel like using it rather than being I don't know what you'd call it, like being coaxed into it. Um, you know, I'm a pretty simple dude. I don't like big expensive things usually, and I don't like I just don't like the opulence and stuff that comes with keeping a modern American domicile and shit. I don't feel like I need that stuff, and so I live kind of a Spartan life. You know, it's not like I'm not claiming that like I've got nothing, but you know, I don't have a fuck ton of furniture. I don't make my house a super welcoming place because I don't really like entertaining people. I'll be honest with you. Like I do, I don't mind it. Like having one, two people, three people over, it's fine. But like having a party at my house, I really don't like doing it. You know, it's just not my bag. I'll go to a party, but I don't know if I'd call you a simple guy, Paul. I really think I am, though. You know, I mean, I think I'm like, I don't know how complex you think I am. Like, I'm not. I'm a pretty simple guy in pretty much every way. You know, when it comes to smarts, I think I'm pretty mediocre amongst smart people. You know, I don't think of myself as some kind of fucking super genius. I know I'm smart in the traditional you know, fucking educational sense. I was always in the gifted classes and the college prep courses and stuff like that. You know, so I know I've got a basic level of intelligence, but I'm not a fucking brilliant dude. I'm pretty mediocre amongst a reasonably intelligent people. Um, you know, I've got my flaws. I've got my flaws, you know, but I try and be a good person. I like butter in my ass and lollipops in my mouth. That's the as the guy in fucking Boogie Night says. You know, I like movies. I like playing video games. I like sitting around. I like talking about politics and I like hanging out with my wife, and I like hanging out with my little dog and my little cat. I like sleeping. I like eating. I don't know. I find myself to be a pretty simple dude. Definitely not as far left as Nikki. Well, no. I mean, who is the ultimate leftist? Nikki. What makes someone simple and another complex? I mean, I think there's like, I don't know. I guess that's a good point. Because I don't know, really. I mean, I guess I would say I'm complex too in terms of just my personality and what it takes to navigate that as somebody who knows me and stuff. I'm probably pretty complex as well. So I take your point. I just like to think of, non-extravagance as being simple. Somebody that's happy with what they got and isn't driven by some insane need to accumulate more of something, is just kind of happy to be okay. Like that's kind of what I am. I'm not going to claim that I don't like money or wouldn't be ecstatic to get way more money, but I'm okay. You know what I mean? And I'm not, that's probably like number 10 on the list of things that I, let have input in my life. So, oh, a dialectic. Nam, you are a super leftist. Look at you, Nikki, using all the big 50-cent college words and shit. Fucking, I bow down to your superior leftism. We never really seen a true communist society, just governments under the facade of communism. I agree. I feel like most of the communist societies have functioned way more as, a dictatorship, like a military style dictatorship, than anything that would resemble true communism. Military style dictatorship with stark crony capitalist tendencies, where wealth was concentrated at the very, very, very top strata, and that everybody else was a fucking pleb. That's basically that's basically what people want to point out and go like, see, communism didn't work. It's like, yeah, that's because it's not communism, bro. Like, they may have called themselves communists, they may have sold themselves as communists to their people, but they were not communists. They were crony capitalists and militaristic dictators. Yeah, I mean, I know it's a meme and people look at it like a flippant, like, oh yeah, just ignore it. But it's true. You can't point at any military regime in the history of the world and go like, see, that was communism. Because if you actually look at how their markets interacted, how their bills of rights worked, and how their wealth was concentrated, they were not communist. So I don't know, like, I know it's cringy, but I don't know what else to do other than be right about it. So I guess I'll just keep being right and cringe. Dude, I was fucking the other day. I was looking at a news clip, and it was someone of those, I can't even remember his fucking name. One of these dorky fucking anchors that's been around forever. And I've seen him, when I watch news stuff, I've seen it before. At the beginning, about 2 years ago, the Ukraine war, this dude was rah, 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 cis boom boss, Slava, Ukraine, fucking, you know what I'm talking about. And I watched a clip of his the other day, and he's like, I think the time has come where we've got to ask ourselves, is it worth it to continue? Would it really be that big of a tragedy for this war to end now. I think we've done, and I was just like, oh, fuck you, you vampire piece of shit. But you know what? That's going to be my life for the next 3 or 4 years. Slowly but surely, society's going to come around to the way of thinking that we shouldn't have had a war there ever at all. The United States ought not have involved itself, and that Russia ought not have involved itself, and that, you know what I mean? It'll just be that. It'll just be, oh, we should have done fucking diplomacy over there. Oh, we should have just let them join NATO before Russia invaded. Oh, it'll be all that shit. All the fucking post-war cope is going to be shit that people like me were fucking spouting on day one of Russia invading Ukraine. As soon as the United States started gearing up to send fucking munitions over there, I've had the same position. And now slowly but surely, everybody's coming back around to like, oh shit, war kind of bad. You know what I mean? Like, war kind of awful. Like, yeah, war kind of awful. Kind of wish we all could have come to this position before fucking 500,000 people had to be slaughtered in the trenches in fucking eastern Ukraine, but whatever, bro. At least you finally arrived at the morally correct and fucking geopolitically correct position of war bad. But I hate that you had to be such a warmonger for so many years before you came to it. I sure do hope you learned your lesson for the next one. Oh, no, you didn't. That's one of the things I pride myself on is I'm consistent in my politics. Now, I'm not saying my politics haven't changed. They certainly have, especially when it comes to like social issues and shit over the course, from my 20s to now, or from my late teens to now, if I'm honest. My positions have changed, but my main political, what I would call like a platform, if I was fucking, a politician, has remained the fucking same. War is a no unless it's absolutely the last option on the table, and it never is, hardly ever is. Wealth redistribution, strong unions, operating outside of the DNC. Like, these have been positions that I've held for quite some time. And they don't change and they don't evolve. What are your thoughts on Taiwan? I don't think that the United States should involve itself in Taiwan. That's my thoughts on Taiwan. I think that the United States should engage in diplomacy to maybe try and protect the people of Taiwan from being annexed. But if push comes to shove, I would rather not see a single American missile involved in any conflict that goes on in Taiwan. So, yeah. Did coming to terms with your bisexuality make you change or reevaluate your social or political views in any way? Not really. I mean, maybe slow, like sort of with the social views. Like I had used kind of anti-gay and anti-trans slurs as pretty much a habit for most of my young life and into my adult life. And really coming to terms with what I was, and then not even really coming out, but coming to terms with it internally, I think did have an effect on how I chose to talk about people and what kind of words I chose to use. You sound rather isolationist when it comes to military action. Do you disagree? I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm a hardline isolationist. I think that if there's something at stake other than the economic prosperity of the top 1% of people, like something genuinely at stake that's worth spending bloods of hundreds of thousands, spending the blood of 100,000 people or more, like if there's a Holocaust going on, for example, like I'll be honest with you, I would be more supportive of the United States intervening in a militaristic kind of military policing way to stop what's going on in Israel than I ever would for Ukraine or Taiwan. I think that there's a systematic fucking genocide going on in Israel. And, maybe not going to war, but America stepping in and acting as a fucking UN peacekeeping force to cool down this conflict might be something needed. I don't think it's ever going to fucking happen because none of our simp ass politicians would ever insinuate that Israel needed to submit to some other military authority on their own soil. But I think they'd be better off. I think the Palestinians and Israelis would be better off maybe if America intervened in a peacekeeping operation, maybe with the UN. But that's perfect world scenario. But right now, what's going on is clearly 100% motivated genocide. This is not like we want this port or we want this strip of farmland or we want this or we're trying, like this is just literally like we're going to scour this whole population of people from this land and make it unsuitable for them. And then as soon as they're all gone, we're going to claim it. Like to me, that's a fucking completely different thing. I also think that if America had done something like that with NATO, like just beefed up NATO troops near the border of fucking Russia, when Russia was doing, there were like days and weeks and months, I think, where we were hearing reports of like, and Putin continues to move armor towards Ukraine. And it's just like, I think if America and its NATO allies had done the same, we might have foregone an actual hot war. So that would have been a military action. I think might have been one of the smart things to do once. But I also think that military action only should have come after diplomacy completely and utterly failed, which I don't think diplomacy was even tried in a good faith way on either side of this conflict. I think the United States is in massive bully pulpit position to enforce some actual fucking diplomacy and to have some hardcore, hard-nosed negotiations. So I would only support that military action after the diplomatic option had been completely and utterly exhausted, which I don't believe is happening in either case that we're talking about. I don't think it's happening in Iran. I guess Iran is a good point. In Israel, I don't think it's happening in Ukraine. I don't think it's happening in Taiwan. So are you saying that America wants to sell weapons instead of having peace? Yes. I'm saying that America wants to own more little spots of land and have more footholds and continue its very lucrative weapons trade. Then it wants world peace, yes. And I think that both sides of the political aisle are equally to blame for that. I think both of them have prosecuted bloodthirsty wars and incursions and military operations and drone bombing campaigns and you fucking name it, as well as just arming conflicts all over the world. That there is nobody on the ballot, at least nobody with a D or an R next to their name, that has any fundamental anti-war position. And people want to be subjectively fucking horrified now, but still bite the bullet later and vote Biden. And I'm sorry, dude, my brain is not wired that way. When I see a person not only just kind of like standing by while genocide is going on, but actively supporting it, like selling the weapons that the genocide, like this would be like if America, when, the Nazis started the pogroms and shit, and started fucking rounding up the Jews and ghettoizing the Jews and shit. It would be like if the Americans sold them a bunch of barbed wire or whatever. And who knows, maybe they did. You know, maybe the Americans did have a shady back channel way of fucking donating military equipment to Europe. So maybe some of those weapons that killed fucking Jews back in Germany were American made. But yeah, you know, it'd be like if America's involvement in that, once it decided to get involved, was to arm Germany. You know what I mean? Like, we're so far on the wrong side of fucking anything moral. And people want you to fucking go and vote for the continuation of that because Orange Man bad. Because Trump woulda. And it's just like, at what point do you fucking wake up and stop sticking your fucking goddamn power and plugging it into the DNC? Who's raping the planet? Are you stupid? Like, when are you going to wake up and start advocating for something? Well, nobody will do it. Third parties are unviable. Third parties are unviable because the people like you outnumber the people like me. Third parties are unviable because people like you with higher positions in the fucking political hierarchy are unwilling to just call it like they see it and say that the Democrats are no friends of ours. They're no friends of fucking humanity. They're no friends of marginalized people, and they need to be gone if anything like a response to the fucking climate crisis and the nuclear crises that are blooming all over the fucking planet and the social crisis, if anything like that is even going to start to happen, these motherfuckers have got to be out of there. That's why the third party never works, because the people like you outnumber the people like me. If the people like me outnumbered the people like you, third parties would be viable in this country. Because people like me with a limited but substantial political reach would be telling their audience about it. You see? You see how it works? Just self-defeating. Just defeatism. Self-defeatism. The worst kind of defeatism. The answer is always wait 4 more years. Dude, motherfuckers ain't got 4 more years. There's people that are going to be fucking straight out dead from neglect in 4 years. The time is now. The time is now. Things are worse than they've ever fucking been in the modern history of the United States in terms of economic stratification. Our cities are falling to ruin. Our fucking people are more divided than ever before. There's war and rumors of war that are just on a scale that is just incomparable to but the fucking worst instances of war in world history. There's a climate crisis. I mean, I don't mean to doomer you out, but like, you realize we got more to deal with than Orange Man, right? You know, you understand that Orange Man, there's some shit that's just fucked. And having Orange Man or Orange Man in a blue suit isn't really what I think we need to be focusing on. You know what I mean? Vavosh lives in luxury, so who cares? I mean, compared to the average person on this planet, I live in luxury. So that's not even an excuse. I don't think that just because you live in a nice place or have nice things that makes it an invalid, you know, I have some nice things around my house. You know, I've got a nice computer, got a relatively new car, not an expensive one, but you get my drift. Got a nice TV. So I've got some nice things. Given the poverty standards in the world, I live like a fucking king, and I still care. Because I've actually struggled before. Because I lived in tiny little fucking apartments. I slept on floors. I ate fucking top ramen for a year because I couldn't afford to buy any other type of food. You know, like, I experienced that shit, and that the group of people that are in that kind of food insecurity, that kind of housing insecurity, it's bigger now than it has been in modern history. So, I don't think that just you get to like claim ignorance or whatever the fuck or act like a pompous douche just because you're rich. Rich people can have a fucking conscience. Rich people can have class consciousness. They don't need to be fucking aloof vampires that only care about what happens to them. That's a choice rich people make. Paul, do you still believe in no confidence? I mean, yeah, as a tactic, sure. Yeah, I mean, I think in the absence of a viable third party option, in the absence of ranked choice voting, which everybody just goes like, if you really want a third party, you need to go for ranked choice. And I'm like, how am I going to get that if I just vote for Democrats? They act like that's some kind of revelation that should shut you up. They go like, oh no, you really care about third party stuff, you got to get ranked choice voting. I'm like, what Democrat is even fucking discussing bringing me that in a national election? Give me a fucking break, dude. You really think the DNC is going to allow the fucking politics on the national level to ever be touched by ranked choice voting? No. What if the average American working class person is now just as much the hand of acceleration as their masters, and motivating makes things worse? I mean, I think it's another one of those things that's never really been tried on the scale that I'm talking about. So if you look at human history, from what we can tell, looking back even to the beginnings of human history, so we're talking about like Mesopotamian settlements. We're talking about Akkad and these very early things. What we do know is that they were marred by economic stratification. There were people that owned all the buildings and all of the industry, and then there were armies and armies of people who cut the grain and planted the fields and tended the oxen. And there was an economic stratification that led in its very real way to the revolutions and topplings and invasions that stopped those societies, right? You move forward in time, and rich people kept coming up with different ways to institute this, and they finally, I think, arrived at their favorite way of doing it, which was feudalism. This was, we're not the heads of some company or something. We are just Lord Bartholomew Waxby of fucking West Chesterfordshire, and you're a fucking pleb. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to fucking live in a ramshackle fucking hut on my land, and you're going to farm it for me. And when you bring in the harvest, you're going to give that harvest to me. And I'm going to give you a tiny fraction of the worth of that harvest. And that's how it's going to work. And I think that rich people have been trying ever since the end of feudalism to reinstate it. And I think that now, with the abolition of any kind of controls over Wall Street and trading, with the abolition of any kind of meaningful control over money in politics, I think they've finally gotten it. They have finally reduced us to plebs that can't afford to own our own piece of land. We got to rent it from them, work in one of their factories, make their product and turn it over to them, and then get handed a pittance in return. How is that any fucking different? Oh, because you're not paying your tithe to Lord Waxby, you're paying it to fucking Goldman Sachs or Amazon.com. That makes it different. No, we've arrived back at feudalism, ladies and gentlemen. The company town is back. Child labor is back. Living hand to mouth is back. It doesn't get any worse than this. This is what they want. So we've hit bottom. It can only get worse from here. When are we going to fight back? How long are we going to be serfs? How long are we going to sit back and die of preventable illness without health care while they enjoy the best health care in the fucking world? How long? 4 more years? And then in 4 more years, when the next person elected doesn't do shit to address it, then is it another 4 more years? So that's 8 years. Let's say the next person that elected is a Republican. Definitely doesn't do anything about it. Another 8 years. Now you're 16 years. How many years? How many decades? Yeah. The company town is making a comeback. Companies are buying up huge, I mean, like just like from the inside out too. Companies are buying up huge swaths of the housing in towns where they also have manufacturers or major retailers. So through subsidiaries and through fucking hedge funds and shit, these companies are putting their money into real estate. And when you rent a fucking place, they're getting a piece of that, either in the sale of it to somebody who wants to rent it to you or the ongoing rent. That's part of their revenue stream now. So they built you your hut. And they say, here's where you live. Here's where you work. And here's what you get for that work. I don't understand how that's not the basic tenets of feudalism. People are increasingly unable to afford to keep food on their plates, despite the fact that they live amongst utter abundance. Imagine that. Imagine how the serfs starved. Do you know that like starvation was one of the greatest killers of people during the times of feudalism, the Middle Ages that we're talking about? European feudalism. These people's job in a lot of cases was to grow food and to tend livestock. So they were in the midst of abundance, but still unable to put food on their tables. Had nobody to turn to when they got sick, but the church, which was another exploitative institution that owned a lot of the fucking mechanisms by which they were enslaved. And here we are. Now, am I describing the Middle Ages or am I describing now? Because it's starting to feel like I'm describing both. So the time is now for humanity to seize its destiny back from the people that would oppress it for monetary gain. And it's really as simple as that, dude. Voting for Joe Biden is voting for your continued oppression and the continued oppression of all the people that live around you and people the world over. As goes the United States, so goes the world, baby. So your decision, if that's your decision, 4 more years is what we need to really kick this thing off, then you better give that some thought. Because you see how easily 4 years becomes 8 and 8 becomes 16, don't you? Pretty soon you're old as fuck and shit's only backslid during your life. How many more generations gonna die under that yoke? I don't hear any of these. Like, I get accused all the time of not having a plan. I don't hear any plan for addressing this. I don't hear anybody ever give specifics on any kind of plan to address what I'm talking about. Not just here in America, the world over. This is the status quo on this planet right now. People work for giant companies, the new feudal lords of our time. They're given a pittance. They live in squalor. They suffer from disease that's easily curable and treatable because they're denied health care, because the rich would rather spend and save and sock away that money and reinvest that money than give it to you. Hello? The cops are out of control fucking thug departments that are just openly like a gang now. They're just a gang that has the backing of fucking the local municipality. They're allowed to just kick your door down and fuck off your fucking rights. Oops, the fucking body cam didn't work. Accidentally got turned off in the scuffle. Wink, wink. Or we don't like no body cams around here. Just live in one of the many areas where that shit isn't fucking standard. I mean, it's a fucking nightmare out there, folks. You don't own shit, even if you own it. That's something that you learn. That's something that you learn when you buy a house. You buy a house and you're like, damn, I own this house. No, you don't. Number one, the bank owns the house. Unless you're rich and are paying fucking, $150, $200, $300,000 out of pocket. So the bank owns the house. The bank gets to say so over whether you fucking do something to the house. What do you think of that? Bet you didn't know that. Yeah, it's fucked. It's fucked, dude. What are you gonna do? So that's just my question, I guess, is like, when? And miss me with the fucking like, well, why don't you start the revolution? I mean, I'm trying to do my part here. I'm not fucking Malcolm X, dude. I don't know what to tell you. I never claimed to be. I'm just not socially positioned to do that. It's absurd for you to ask me to do it. Needs to be a ground roots movement, and the best of us need to be picked to fucking head it up. Why don't you start it? Paul, did you see the video of McDonald's security pouring mop bucket water on the homeless man that was on the street? No, I didn't, but I don't want to see it, to be honest with you. That type of shit just fucking that type of fucking lack of empathy and lack of common humanity makes me sick to my stomach. And is indicative of the regime that we live under, by the way. This kind of brutal policing, Biden loves that shit, dude. Remember when the chant amongst people was abolish the police? And Biden's words were, no, don't abolish the police, fund the police. Fund the organization that's just killing black people in the streets, like suffocating them to death too. Not even shooting them in some cases, just choking them to death in the street for some minor drug infraction or some minor fucking vehicular infraction. Yeah, fund that. You know what I mean? Vote for me. I don't know how you do it, man. And before you go like, oh, you LARPing or whatever, dude, the fucking whole history of this country is the history. It's a revolutionary's history. And really, any country is a history of revolutions, dude. Don't look at me like like it's somehow cringy now. Like, I understand you're a millennial, or I understand you're a Zoomer and everything is cringe, so you don't have to deal with it anymore. But revolutions have and will continue to happen, bro. And a lot of us are starting to think that maybe it's time for one. And I wish you were on the boat with us, because if more people got that through their fucking heads, that they're not going to give us what we need, so we're going to have to kind of take it and equalize things ourselves. If more people thought like that, then maybe we wouldn't be arguing about voting for yet another vampire crony capitalist and crossing our fingers and hoping 4 more years of that fixes it. Fuck that, dude. Revolutions can and do happen. Movements can and do start. And I think, and I don't think I'm alone here, I think now's right about the time, y'all. I think there's no better time than now. I think we are living in a society that is increasingly untenable for just any person to live in. Nobody owns anything. Corporate towns 100% back in a new form. Child labor 100% back. People working 2, 3 jobs as a rule. Children with nobody to raise them. Schools that are overflowing with kids and just get no investment. Giant class sizes. Eroding bus support. Buses are disappearing again from this country. Bus routes being taken off the rolls. Kids left with no way to get to school. College unattainable. Climate falling the fuck apart. Infrastructure falling the fuck apart. Geopolitics on fire, bro. Call out the instigators because there's something in the air. We've got to get together sooner or later because the revolution's here and you know it's right. A little thunderclap Newman for that ass. Sorry, I'm a hippie though. So that's another thing you can use to discount me, as you're continuously wrong about things and then slowly come to my fucking position. You can call me a dirty fucking shitty hippie. Oh, I hate hippies, dude. Yeah, you do? Yeah, I guess you hate the leftist movement then. I guess you hate protest. I guess you hate fucking taking a stand. Like I love how people have just bought into the government propaganda that hippies were nothing but a bunch of fucking potheads. Hippies were at the forefront of a revolution that enabled the civil rights struggle, that ended the Vietnam War, that put so much fucking visible physical pressure on politicians that the Vietnam War had to be ended. Don't tell me these things don't work. Now, I don't have the reach to start it myself, but I'm sure willing to join. And I think there's a lot of people that are with me. I'm sure willing to go to some meetings. I'm sure willing to show up to some fucking protests. I drove by the other night. I was going out to the fucking movies and I saw there was an anti-Palestine protest on the curb. It was getting late. It looked like it was dispersing a little bit. But I was like, damn, I didn't even know that organization was here. But I'm talking about more than picketing at the fucking outside the fucking big giant strip mall where the movie theater is. You know, that I'm not denigrating that. I think more of that needs to happen. I think it needs to coalesce into a larger movement. You want my opinion on it? Non-violently speaking, about 1 million, 2 million of us need to park ourselves on the fucking National Mall and refuse to leave and let them tear gas us. And then once they've tear gassed us and everything's settled down, I think we need to come right back. And I think we need to do it again and again. I think we need to harry every politician to and from work. I think we need to be in the faces of every politician in Washington. And I think we need to do it until they are forced to deal with us, until change is made. And that's the nonviolent way that I would see it prosecuted, or at the very least started. See, a lot of people say revolution and they think, oh, cutting throats. And no. The civil rights struggle in this country was violent because violence was perpetrated against it. There were voices within the civil rights movement in this country, black voices, that called for a more militant approach. But the main body of the wins that were made in the civil rights movement were nonviolent. Sit-ins, boycotts, marches. These are the things that moved America. These are the things that moved the politicians of America. And we're not doing that anymore. And we're wondering why they're not, because we're too busy simping. We're too busy. They just got elected to their first term. We know they suck. And we're too busy saying, I'm going to vote for them next term too. Like, no. You need to park yourself on Biden's front steps and create, like, we need to all come together and create a fucking organization that supports people that will do this. I'll go. I'm not going to go ass out in the wind alone, but I'll go. If there's a logistical chain behind it, I'll go. There's an organization. I'll 100% donate if there's an organization. It just it has to exist. I'm not a business person, okay? I can't handle that. I don't know how to found things like that. So you can't ask me, well, go do it yourself, bro. I'm trying to change people's minds and get them on the same page, and maybe it'll happen. Anywho, I'm ranting and raving like a psychopath here. I'm going to tone it down a little bit. Smoke a little bit more of this joint and see if we can mellow the situation a little bit. But make no bones about it. I may not feel comfortable saying all of that. And I don't really think I said anything wrong just now. But I may not feel comfortable saying all that in such a public forum as DFF. But that's where my heart is, and that's where my head is. And you can spread that around as much as you want. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm just afraid of it. You know what I mean? I'm afraid of the retaliation that comes when people feel like I do. But I think there's a lot of people that feel like I do. And now you know. Alec Jones is back on Twitter. Oh, shit. I don't care. Oh, fuck, man. That's crazy. I don't care. Sorry. Probably make a bad, like, full-time React kind of streamer, you know? Because, you know, there's a lot of shit that pops up in the news and stuff that falls securely under I don't give a shit. Like typically like crimes or whatever, like so-and-so kicked a baby off a mountain or whatever the fuck, you know, whatever happened. I usually don't, not that I don't care about the victims of such crime, but I don't focus my life on reading about every fucking weird murder that goes on in the, you know what I mean? Like if I had my druthers over the whole fucking, I'd just say like, I don't give a fuck. And we just, sometimes we do. Sometimes TJ will start reading something and I'll be like, dude, I don't give a fuck about this. And all right, next story. It just happens, you know? So, yeah, I don't care. I thought you quit weed, Paul. No. I took a long tolerance break. I never said I quit weed. Quit weed. I just took a long break from it. And now I'm back on the kush. Just let me let you know something. All right, Keldo. Number one, I am off of that Medusa snakehead, Odysseus's fucking golden shield, Whoopi Goldberg, Ted Danson, Jungle Fever, fucking granddaddy Kush. And I am him. Okay? I am him. Dude, I'm him. I'm that guy. All right? Didn't know we had a king. I didn't vote for you. Oh. breaking the conditioning. That's what Alex Jones coming back to that fucking cesspit. Dude, one of the best things I ever did was when I stopped going to Twitter. Not even gonna lie. I can't tell you how profoundly my fucking outlook changed and how much easier I found it to formulate opinions. Because I went for a while where I was on Twitter quite a bit, dude. Nowhere near as much as TJ. I don't even know how TJ would do it back in the day. He was doing it. But yeah, I definitely went through a period where I was on Twitter a lot. And dude, fuck that shit. Well, good eye, mate. Throw another shrimp on the barbie. Watch out for the wallabies, mate. You're beached, mate. You're beached is. Let me bum a ciggy off of you, mate. Let me bum a lighter. Oi, let us bum a ciggy, mate. Oi, Lord Zod. Let us bum a ciggy, mate. Let us bum a lighter. Give us a lighter. Beached as is New Zealand. Oh, only in Australia is there a distinction really between those two places. Most of us think of Australia as Australia and New Zealand. Like you're a group of people that just want so much to be seen as different, but you're basically it's the same type of people inhabiting a really close little chain of islands. All right. It's like the Hawaiians. Like I'm sure there's cultural differences and stuff. I'm not trying to undercut that, but like, come on. To the rest of the world, y'all are all just kind of like in the same zone, right? A Kiwi is an Australian with a little bit nasalier voice. Like that's my experience. Like an Australian's down there, like, oi, you fucking cunt, let me get a lighter. I need a bum a ciggy too, eh? And then like the fucking Kiwi is like, oi, you fucking cunt, let me get a lighter. You're beached. You know, and that's about it. Those are the two kinds of Australians in my mind. Yeah, just letting you know. I mean, I know you guys, you're all too lurid with how you tell us how you look at Americans. We're all fat, lazy, stupid. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you what we think about you too. That's it, dude. You're all a bunch of bogans. You're playing at having like a different country when basically you're living on the same fucking island. Like if the ocean went down by about fucking 10 feet on average or whatever, you guys would be living on the same island. All right, it's ridiculous. Always get salty on hardcore Henry when that soldier Putin's his lighter. Oh, I don't. I watched that movie a long time ago and it wasn't very memorable. In my mind, well, yeah. I mean, there's two kinds of Australians because they just live on different islands. But there's one kind of Australian that, like, every Australian will just grab a big knife and stick it through any big spider they see. They don't give a fuck. They see that, dude. They're raised with that shit. Like, oh, God damn it, no. Yeah, they're raised on that fucking shit, dude. I think every Australian baby has to kill a big giant fucking huntsman the size of a shovel head before they're fucking 16. Or they're like thrown off the island. In fact, what I heard is that the Kiwis started when the Australians started exiling the kids that hadn't defeated a fucking giant huntsman. They started sending them to fucking New Zealand, and then boom, That's what I heard about the history over there. Now I don't know if I may be wrong. Anyway, I think I'm gonna get out of here. It's pretty late. Holy shit, it really is late. God damn. Yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. It was nice chilling. And I'll see you guys. Let me do the calculations. I guess technically I'll see you guys tomorrow on Onion Nuggets. Good night.